anymore, so it floats a little differently because they have the valves.
I'm just.
I'll double check my email. And you can find the time that it's
We'll go over it.
Yeah, Lindsay gets back, she said she's the one.
Okay.
It looks like we need to send this packet.
Yeah,
Hi,
we
Gary.
have
How's Gary doing?
So very department.
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you, and thank you for tuning in with us.
Are we expecting anybody else?
Caleb, but he's usually a few minutes into the meeting, and his item's down there. So he'll probably tune in later.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm on my phone right now, because I just restart my computer, it didn't like whatever was going on, so I'll try and rejoin Jim here in a minute, if the audio is better.
Is the agenda for the ordinance?
Yes, yes, so you have the packet ahead of time,
next week, yeah.
and then your terms and conditions is basically the same as what's been passed out before.
Yeah.
It's a sewer ordinance that has a special.
Right.
And at the time I wrote to you all last night, early this morning, we were on draft 3, but Annalise now has released draft 4.
Oh, all right.
At least she'll hit it. And we won't have to look at it for 20 years.
elections obviously not this year, they're next year, so we'll have all the way through.
I'm all set.
Yeah, it's next year.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the regular town council meeting on Tuesday, April 20th. We're in town council chambers this evening, as well as by teleconferencing. I'd like to open the meeting by pledge of allegiance. If you all could, we have a flag here tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We can have a brief moment of silence, please. Thank you. First item on the agenda is adoption of the minutes of our regular meeting of April 6, 2021. I'll look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt the minutes of the regular meeting held on April 6, 2021 as presented.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Counselors, do you have any items that need to be addressed on there that you saw that needed correction or addition? Okay. Not hearing any. All those in favor of adopting the minutes as presented for the regular meeting held on April 6, 2021, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Next up, presentations, congratulations, introductions. The first item is the Memorial Day Parade.
And I have consulted with the musicians, with the schools, where heretofore we've had the Warsaw Band march in the parade and the MCI band, Lady Floyd, in front of the library. And I've talked to both band leaders, and neither one wants to do as we have done in the past, this in view of the epidemic. So the Warsaw Band will not participate at all. We will get from MCI a trumpeter, and we will, and what we're planning, and of course one of the reasons I like to present this to the town council, it's it's your town. But what we're planning is very similar to last year. Memorial Day flag etiquette is unique because when the flag goes up in the morning, it's hauled down to half-mast, but it only stays that way till 12 noon. At 12 noon, it goes all the way up, symbolic of the fact that despite the sacrifices made, the nation goes on and full throttle. So I'll have a chaplain at the memorial, and he'll say a prayer. I'll make a few remarks, and when the clock hits 12, up that flag will go. I'm coordinating with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. They'll try to get the same thing to happen to the other flags around, like the Jinbro flag and the one in the park and the one at MCI. That's basically what we did last year, and I will announce this in the Rolling Thunder issue that comes out a week before that. That's what I did last year, and it seemed to draw just the right amount of people. We had a good war memorial, but everybody was able, what do they call it, socially distanced from one another, and it was just about the right size. So I will plan to run a similar article this year as I did last in the Rolling Thunder to explain it to people. Any comments or objections, or anyone who want to do it any differently? And fine, I'll go ahead with those plans. I can save it till later or make it right now in about 3 minutes.
Why don't you go ahead and do it now? And counselors, you don't have any objections to operating a Memorial Day parade
No.
type celebration, not parade, but celebrations for the same as last year. It seemed to work well, so let's do that again. So go ahead with your announcements, and then
And this other thing, I'd just like to make the town council aware, and this came out in a conversation just day before yesterday between me and Chris McDonald, recently. Now he's been here a year, but still recently took over as head of school MCI. And I find him more broad thinking of the town and things like that than any of the headmasters I've dealt with since I first moved up to Maine. And our conversation had to do with the Russian ballet that I founded a number of years ago. And being new, Chris McDonald, headmaster, is kind of surprised that the fans of the ballet are people down in Waterville and people up in Hampton where they perform. And Russian ballet dancers are very picky about stage size and all these things that the layman would never think of. So as I was talking to Chris, he said, the town, let's get the town involved. He said, but the corporations, now Puritan plus Chinbro, would be the ones to fund possibly building a satisfactory venue here in town if we make the right presentation to them. So I'm going to plan on proceeding that way. I know several weeks ago we were thinking about the theater. I don't see how that would ever be my Russian maestro looked at that back when I first brought him to Pittsfield, and he said, too small. So I just wanted to let you know that we've got that on our agenda. Chris McDonald and I will be going to Puritan and Chinbro and try to get them involved so that let's help put Pittsfield on the map, and I think enhance everybody's life. So.
well, it's good to know that you're thinking about that. I know there's been a lot of conversation over the years about a community center. And
Yes.
there could certainly be a central portion to that.
Yes, and that's, in fact, I called, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name, but he and I before my wife really got so sick that I was unable to find time, talked about a community center some months ago, and he called me today, and we're going to move forward on trying to do that. Find a site. We have several in mind. So again, just to let the town know that we're working on it, and any ideas, don't hesitate to call me.
Sure, that's great to know. Counselors, do you have any other feedback for Colonel Wiley about anything?
And I just think that it's commendable for you to have the Memorial Day parade. I know you guys doing the very best you can under the circumstances, and I think people will go to it because I really think people are itching to get out and have some sort of normalcy, and plus thank all the veterans that and their families, and I think that would be, I think it'll go very well.
Good.
I'd also like to say, if you're looking for volunteers for the community center thing, that's something I've always wanted in our town, so just let me know.
Oh,
Let me
yes.
know how I can help.
Yes, because we're gonna move forward with a lot of vigor, and that's why I wanted to announce it here, to hear comments just like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, and the idea that it could also include performing arts in it is phenomenal.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Great to have a place for
I've got
basic
some
programs to perform.
rare circumstances I won't go into. As a 30-year combat Marine, became a ballet fan a long time ago. And it's an art in itself, and it's unique, and once you appreciate it, you fall in love with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for giving us those updates, Colonel Wiley. We appreciate it. Always nice to see you. Spring sports and safety plan would be the next item that we have on the agenda. We have members of our rec committee here with us this evening.
Yeah, so we're planning to move forward. We've held sign-ups and are moving forward with spring rec at this point. Both Jenny and I just came from a little spring basketball session, giving those kids that didn't get a winter basketball season and really love the sport a couple weeks of at least some skills and drills to get out and kind of get a little bit of their winter back that they missed. And getting rolling ahead in vet great participation numbers finally for spring baseball and softball throughout the different age groups. We do have, obviously, with COVID still a hot item, we do have our safety plan in place, similar to what we did for winter ice skating, and modified obviously for spring and the different things that come with baseball and softball versus a skating rink. So,
Ben, did we receive copies of the spring sports plan? I couldn't find it in the packet.
Did you guys? Did the town office receive?
Right.
As far as the safety aspect of
Is
it?
it the same that you had in place last year for baseball? The same protocols as far as travel teams and all of that?
Somewhat. We've modified the safety program, and we've gone to a more traditional breaking up of age groups, and we plan to participate in the Sebastopol League as we have in years past. And we go through the complete safety plan, or we can email copies of the safety plan around to the council.
I guess last year we approved the safety plan at the meeting. We reviewed it and then made some suggestions and changes and then approved it and said, green light everything and whatnot. So I think that it'd probably be prudent to do that again this year.
Yeah, we've basically modeled it after last year. Go ahead, Jen.
Right, so what's different about what would be happening this year is that we'd be participating in the lead. I think it includes Newport, Heartland, Palmyra. It's towns that are very close by. Whereas last year it was just town players that, much like we did when we were little, when we were younger. So the thought is that it would be a travel team if that's approved. The safety guidelines, So the thing that's different about baseball than the skating is, obviously, social distancing as much as we can, 6 feet apart. Even the spectators, that's the goal. Everybody would be wearing masks, and that's different. Last year for baseball, they did not have to wear masks. So that's a change. It would be much like school in that we would ask families to make sure they do a self-check before they come. So just like we do for school, we ask parents to have them take their temperature before coming to school. If they feel ill, don't come. So very similar. Lindsay Holmstrom is our school nurse, so she kind of took the lead on coming up with our safety protocol that we would like to use.
To better answer your question, Melissa, it is the same package as baseball last year that you did approve. The only difference being we now have the masking mandate per Governor Mills, and we do plan to participate in the Sebastian League, which is running this year.
And what's the status of like school sports right now?
They are full go across the state.
Fully
Across the
offered.
state?
We plan to fully comply with all NPA and CDC guidelines.
So there's no restrictions on travel teams right now?
No. And we can send this to you guys. We have it digitally, obviously, so we can send it along.
Yep, I should have had that, Catherine, I apologize for that.
Yeah, if you send it to myself, I'll distribute it to the town councilors and the staff.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
So right now you're looking at spring softball, baseball, and then going right into summer sports too, or?
So the baseball, softball season will run, we'll start practices in a few weeks, probably first week of May, and games would be scheduled to start around May 15th, I think the second or third Saturday, and they would go until the end of June, at which time the older kids would have a Saturday playoffs day, and the younger kids would kind of just be done, and then it would flow into the summer camps that we traditionally we're working on, looking at those and seeing if we would have offerings similar to prior years. We haven't gone through all the planning of that yet. I know Jenny and Amanda and Lindsay and a few others have been spearheading that.
Are you only doing baseball and softball, or are you doing tennis and lacrosse too?
Just baseball.
Just baseball and softball. I don't know if we've ever done tennis or lacrosse more than the summer camp.
That's what I was
don't know if we
thinking, but I
actually have
wanted to
seasons.
verify that I remember
Yeah.
that right.
Yeah.
It may be something in the future, but right now we're focused on just getting something going, and we were happy to see some numbers come out, and people seem really excited, so.
Right, and as far as summer goes, we're still in the midst of figuring that out, kind of hoping that a new rec director might be able to help us out. So, spring is our big focus right now.
Yep.
And then pool would fall under summer to come at a later meeting.
Yep.
Do you have any spring items that are not sport related, that are either like art or dance or anything like that would be, suitable to do outdoors, that might be more geared to kids that aren't going to do group sports?
We've talked a lot about summer offerings, and so spring, summer, they kind of blend.
Yeah.
Not age group specific. We've talked a lot of ideas about sometime in summer getting, whether it's bingo in the park or it's whatever, some things like that would get not just our kids that have been isolated and stuck inside for months, but the rest of the age group, our older folks that have been stuck inside and haven't anything to do for months, to get them out and moving and socially distanced and safe. But we don't have anything nailed down yet. We kind of thought of it more as a summer activity.
Bingo in the park is a definite must.
Plan that.
We know we have the setup for it, so.
I think that would draw quite a range of ages. I think it'd be real fun.
No, and obviously ideas from the council members and the community and stuff. We're spitting all kinds of ideas out there, so things we can do to get folks out and safely involved.
Great.
I expect we'll have a number of new programs as we move through the year with a new recreation director. We do have several applicants now, some of which were interviewed today, and others that will be interviewed shortly. And You also have all the ideas from the Recreation Committee and hopefully a better health situation in the future.
Counselors, any other questions for our rec committee members tonight?
Like I said, so if we're waiting 2 weeks to approve this to our next meeting, or is that gonna mess up your time frame? Because that's May 4th.
Yeah,
No, I don't think we need to wait 2 weeks. I was just asking
Oh,
you
okay.
to send us an updated copy
Oh,
so we
okay.
had like an actual copy.
Right, I didn't know if it had to get voted on and do
Yeah,
that
no,
whole
I mean, I
process.
think
in
it's,
2
we've
weeks.
already approved it, and if there's,
Okay.
the only two changes are those two items, and nobody had any objections to it, I don't know that we
Okay.
have to wait 2 weeks and then, I
Right.
don't know, how does everybody else feel?
I think they ought to move ahead. I think
Yeah.
that they've done their homework, they've done their due diligence. I mean, last year, they kind of, was really tough to get it to do anything. Things are slowly being lifted, and they're on top of it. They know, because they deal with the schools too, and so as long as they're compliant with the governor's directives and the CDC, I think where they've done the due diligence, I don't see why they don't just go ahead and move ahead. I think it's good for everybody. I know the kids are chomping at the bit to play.
there's plenty of evidence on the impacts to kids of this whole thing's had socially and emotionally and mentally, so.
Anybody
But
have a
it's
question that you guys have got everything, you've done all your due diligence, you got all your paperwork and all that, so I don't have a problem with that. I
Now,
think
the
it
fact
ought to
that
be
you're
that.
following the Maine Principals Association stuff and the CDC stuff, I mean, we're all green counties right now, and our older kids who participate in school sports are traveling around for sports, so. we
And
should
just like
follow the
that,
same,
just like should for some reason something go yellow, we'd obviously roll it back.
Of course.
We would work on more of a skill and drill and reevaluate, but we don't anticipate that.
That was my next
But
question,
we're-
we brought
we're
up the
ready.
Green County, I was like, what happens when we go to yellow?
Yeah.
So.
We would roll it back and we would pause any inter-town competition and stuff until we figure that out, so.
That's how we ran it this fall, because that was kind of the contingency plan, is as long as we're all green, we go. And then, otherwise,
Okay, great.
I did just have one other item while I go
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So we've been overworking and kind of working at Hackman Park, and I talked to a few of you about it. In that, we've kind of cleaning out a lot of stuff and digging out, assessing what we have for equipment. And there's probably a good 75 to 100 baseball helmets and some other miscellaneous equipment that are extremely antiquated. They would not be approved for use in any games. They are deemed not up to safety standards. Many of them are chewed out by mice.
Oh,
And there were some very large mice nests throughout the bags and the equipment. I would like to haul them out of there and chuck them. I sent some pictures, I took some pictures in case somebody wants to assess it or meet me over there, but I'd like to just clean some of that stuff out that is, that in there 30, 35 years. And it's more of a safety hazard than even donating it to somebody who would really want that liability probably, so.
Yeah, Ben had asked me about this weekend, and I was just like, I don't know who bought the equipment. If it's the town equipment, I think that we would need to have some type of,
There's a disposition form, so
Yeah.
just send me a list of what you have overall. If there's 82 baseball helmets, just a little description with a picture, and I'll make out the form for you.
I've got some pictures, yeah. A lot of them obviously were just donated, and a lot of them were bought probably by the town.
From
Um,
back in the 70s or,
I'm pretty sure I wore some of them, yeah, absolutely.
well,
We've
you're not
got,
that old, you didn't do stuff in the seventies.
well, you know, we've got our material list, we gotta expedite that, I gotta get that to Catherine, because we will need the standard t-shirts for the t-ball kids and hats and some of that stuff. So I'll get that over to Catherine so we can get that going. And then the hut, the food hut, that just needs to be like emptied out. There's food in there from a couple of years ago, there's,
God.
it just needs to be, so I don't know if we haul that off, or for the public works folks, we make a pile and they haul it off, or how we can get that
Do you
back
want
empty.
everything in there hauled off? Is there anything you want to say? You can send me
The food
anything.
definitely should be.
any food items. It's been 2 years since it's been used, so any food item, even like ketchup and like, I don't know, that would
Yeah.
all be.
So-
It would be over.
The couple pieces of equipment in there, I gotta call Bo, some of them, it's a good, a good griddle, but the griddle surfaces are all delaminated and peeled up, so I think some of that needs to be maybe just parts of it hauled off, so I'll give Bo a call, he knows it as good as anybody, but all the food products and stuff like that, we'll probably get
And
trash
that building
cans.
can't be used right now, that still can't be used, it needs, I think it was what, $18,000 worth of work
Well,
to.
that
Well,
was somebody's estimate.
The hood vent was 17,000 of that, and we don't need a hood vent or that fryer there.
Right,
So-
well, it just depends on what you want.
There's a couple things in the bathroom, and it's electrically that definitely need to
Yeah.
get fixed, so.
Yeah, there's definitely, the list I saw, there was a lot of upgrading of electric and plumbing and those types of
Yep.
things that need to be done.
Yeah, we're gonna
before
work
we
through
use
that
it
as
again,
soon
so.
as we got everything else kind of cleaned out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually made me think of something, plumbing. You're gonna have, the outhouses again?
As far as the bathrooms at the park, that's a good question. I actually hadn't revisited that yet.
Is that something that,
At Hathaway
Me
Park,
too,
at Hathaway Park, they had,
The town provided them last
Nature's
year
Way
Yeah.
for the
versus-
concert series, and they were available if there was things going on in the park.
It did work well. Manson Park just came up and got the contact information because they're getting ready to use them instead of their bathrooms.
Yeah, yeah, it works well because they come in and clean them and sanitize them and take care of them and everything, and then we don't have to have staff people doing that. And then there's also physical issues in those bathrooms, plumbing and whatnot that need to be fixed. So as far as having facilities available as a park, if you're gonna have kids there and stuff doing programs this year, I think that we should, pay to have that done again.
yeah, we definitely did something, for sure.
Catherine, did we build that into the budget knowing how well that worked when we went through the budget after the fact?
We're all set because we have multiple sports accounts and we also have the recreation account, so I would divide up the cost between the different entities utilizing the facilities. The one item about this that works so good is that even down in Manson Park, the bathrooms get unlocked for 2 hours, so what do you do the other 22 hours? So this works out well for everybody.
And I think the building was on Public Works list, as far as, back to your question about cleaning it out. If you're cleaning stuff out and you wanna take all that food and stuff out of there and get it out of there, that will help with the mice issues, not to have food in there. But as far as the fixing of things and stuff, I think that list was on Public Works to-do
Yes,
list.
once you decide what you'd like to have done, and that depends on what you're gonna have for food, partially.
Yeah, we just need to revisit that, we were, yes.
That's a whole other project to try and put together a kitchen
Yep.
area in there and figure out what your equipment's gonna be and that type of thing.
Yep.
And really the, Department of Health should be part of that planning as well. Tim, did you-
Yeah, I was just gonna say, all that food, just
The first is
clean, that whole thing needs to be cleaned out, swept out, cleaned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then work on it. I think it's a good idea to have the porta potties down there until we can figure out, at least for now, it worked out last year, it'll probably work out again this year, but yeah, I'm with you on that. Just get rid of all that stuff, have Public Works haul it up, whatever you gotta do.
Yeah,
I
it's more,
think
it's more the
get rid
equipment
of all
we gotta
that
get
food.
assessed. There's a slushy machine and a fryolator and I don't know what condition any of those are in, so we just gotta figure that out. And there's a couple sheds down there that need to get a bunch of stuff hauled out of them. So we'll kind of work with them on that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Let's go on to water rate increase, implementation timeline and meeting dates. Catherine is just reviewing the information from our last meeting, or?
Yes, and I'm gonna be very brief. I want to make sure if there are any last questions or items that we can provide to Annalise Hafford from all of our associates, or any concerns over the water rate increase. I think it's pretty clear as to why we're having one, if we're gonna advance forward to improve the water system and increase the service and everything. We are going to have to do some projects, and there's no question in our mind. We've been getting by, making sure that we do not overspend the expenses over the revenues, and so that's been very difficult if there's been breaks or items. This is something that we need to move forward. I gave you the implementation schedule, the meeting dates, but if there's any reservations or any items that councilors have, if you want to bring them up now or at the end of the meeting or send them to me, we'll get all that information together. attached to the town manager's report, I did give you the public hearing notice, which has very good specifics in it on the amount of the revenue increase. This is something that we put in the budget for a couple of years, but didn't move forward because of concerns, and then COVID happened, and people were struggling, but it's got to the point where we need to protect the town, businesses, the residents, and move forward here.
Councilors, do you have anything you want to discuss now about the water rate issue, or?
I think we leave it for public hearing at this point.
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave it there and move on to community and economic development activities and events. First up is Gary Jordan, going to give us an update on the town video and the housing situation in Pittsfield.
Thank you, Heather, and good evening, Town Council. Can you hear me the first thing?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because I really can't hear you guys. You're kind of muffled. So I want to talk about, we'll talk about the town video first. That's easy to talk about. It should be hitting my desk any day now. I called the Black Fly today, and I haven't heard back from them, but that video is pretty much prepared. So it should be hitting my desk. And once I do that, Catherine will get a copy and then put it on social media. But I think it's come out very well. So I expect to see that anytime. We'll talk about real estate in Pittsfield. And I'm going to go back to 2017 and then work our way up to 2021. Just so you kind of get a feeling of what's happening. All right. So total listing, and that means total yearly listings in town. It doesn't mean we have 70 houses for sale right now. But in 2017, we had 90 total listings in town. And the number sold was 44 homes. All right. This is something to note. Those homes sold at 97% of their list price. Okay, and that's a common theme. You're going to see that. In 2018, it went from 90 homes to 80 homes listed. And we only went to 34 homes sold. So it went from 44 to 34. In 2019, 75 homes were listed and 52 were sold. And I'm going to come back to 2019 in a second. Okay, but 52 homes were sold. And in 2020, 63 homes totally listed and 43 sold. Okay, so late in 2019, we started seeing, people trying to come into the state, and that really took a hold in 2020. People from out of state, and I mean any state, trying to come into Maine because of COVID. And you've probably heard that, it's probably not uncommon. And every town has the same kind of low inventory. And we'll talk about year to date in a couple minutes here. But that amount of buyers trying to come into the market into Maine, and also not understanding Maine, okay? Because obviously we have an older stock inventory in New England. And they don't understand the home. So what they're looking for, okay, are newer style homes. And remember, they're not married to any one town. I had a lot of conversations with people from California, Texas, all over. And I ask you, why Maine? Because they say this, because it's better than where I am right now. And they don't care where in Maine, but I do say that. I think you're going to care when you start heading north of Bangor. So they don't really care where they live. They're not married to any one town, and they're looking for a somewhat newer home. They also think this. They also think they can pick up homes very cheap in Maine. And that's really not the case. Okay, people are not giving away their houses. So, you know, that's not stopping them from buying because they got people from California that they can't even buy anything for $500,000. They come into Maine, they can get a very nice home. So we come to, so the lack of inventory in 2020. I'm gonna just tell you right now that year-to-date in Pittsfield, active homes, right now, this month, are 12. You have 12 active homes, I think one just sold today. But there were 12 active properties. We're talking about residential properties, not land, not commercial, not condos, anything like that. But you had 12 active listings. Now let's just put this in perspective. Bangor, we had 22. Okay? So look at the size of Bangor compared to Pittsfield. Look at the inventory in Bangor, it's 22. About 4 months ago, inventory in Bangor was at 8. And it's creeped up to 22 now. Now, homes are selling, you know, they're only on the market a couple of days sometimes. You can't get people fast enough to them. But that's kind of where we are with inventory. Inventory comes on, it goes right off. I predict this. Right now, we've got 12 homes sold year to date in Pittsfield. There's 5 pending right now. I kind of predict that you're going to have, see, there's 40 homes probably sold. You know, there was a 17% decrease from 2019 to 2020. A 17% decrease. So I kind of see that you're going to probably still see, you know, in the high 30s, 40s. And it's really hard to predict this because we don't know if somebody's going to sell their home. We don't know what a home's going to sell. The medium price sales in 2020 was 139,900. Okay, so in 2019 it was 115, a little over 115,000. It doesn't take much to throw that number off. You take 2 houses and throw that number completely off. So, you know, I don't really get worked up on you know, average prices and median sale prices on homes, especially in smaller communities, because they can change in 1 month. The 96% in 2020 was the list to sold ratio. So you can see that's real bit high. That's very common to hear this now. That ratio being in the 90s. It starts off small, and by the time it ends, it's 96. Some are at 100%, by the way, and that's because people are overbidding houses. So houses are going $30,000 to stay $40,000 over asking. So those numbers become, you know, all become positive, or 100, 105, crazy. But, you know, it's just a lack of inventory right now in the market. And, you know, the out-of-state people want newer construction. So I spoke last year about, you know, start thinking about zoning and start thinking about places that you could expand, because if you want Pittsfield population to grow and people live in Pittsfield, then there's got to be some, you know, residential construction. You know, Birchwood Terrace, you know, that's pretty much filled out now. I think maybe there's 1 lot left up there, and there's 4 homes that are going to be built up there that I know of. So, let me see, what else can we talk about right now, it's 140,650 is the average sale price this year, but again, don't get too worked up on that. That can change and drop to 115 in 3 houses. Any questions out there? You can see that's really not changing. You know, you're going 44, 34, 52, and 43 for total sales. You know, so I expect that you're going to be in the high 30s and the 40s. But again, we don't know what anybody's going to do out there. When they're going to put their house on the market, if they're going to put their house on the market. Obviously, Puritan being there is a big deal. So having people live in Pittsfield will be great, but you need inventory.
Catherine has a question for you, Gary.
Yes, very briefly, I did provide packages of information to the planning board members who do the planning for the community in terms of the different parcels that the code enforcement officer and I reviewed that might be available for sale and could be of interest, larger parcels that could be looked at. We do have several lots being purchased up in the subdivision that's been on the books since the 70s behind the hospital, so that is a positive. I also provided to the planning board multiple suggestions regarding the subdivision ordinance and how it could be more user-friendly. So they have all of that information, but what might be helpful is at the next peak meeting, the peak members go over those parcels and maybe make a plan of action to assist the planning board.
You gotta remember that Pittsfield is strategically located between Augusta and Bangor. And a lot of people are living at larger towns like that, the people who work in. But the thing here is that they want to live in a smaller community. And Pittsfield is great because it's got a hospital. So, I mean, people always talk about, I want to be by a hospital, I want to be by a hospital. And Pittsfield is great for that over the airport. And, you know, you've got a community that deals with organic produce and also very strong in solar. And all these people, this is a big thing right now, solar and organic. And, you know, Pittsfield's kind of situated for that.
So
And it's strategically located.
So it's easy to sell Pittsfield. We have people calling all the time, a little bit slower right now, but it was going along quite quickly, and it'll pick up again, looking for housing. And so we assist them with the housing that's available and ideas and everything. But they do want new housing. Definitely. And this is where the small houses, tiny houses may come in, the cluster housing. Obviously, coming from a town that had major subdivisions, cluster housing worked very well for people moving in from out of state. So it could work here too.
What I noticed with out-of-state people is they don't want distressed property. So if you have distressed property in town, an investor is gonna buy that. I mean, that's where it's going. But they just don't want that kind of, they don't want a fixer-upper, a lot of them. There's some younger people that occasionally want that, but they don't want that. They want newer construction, and they want to be, you know, a part of the town. That's what a lot of people want to be. I work with a lot of out-of-staters every single day, and it's the same type of flavor, you know. I just sent somebody, they were gonna go to Augusta, and I pushed them up to Pittsfield to look, because, you know, the community and the type of businesses you have there, and the school too. And believe it or not, real estate agents cannot speak about schools to clients, or they should, or they get in trouble. But that's an important thing to people too, that have kids moving into the state. So Pittsfield's got a lot of positive things. It's got a little bit of everything. It's just housing short, but it's short everywhere.
Thank you. Any questions for Gary, counselors?
Again,
Gary, what is I mean, I know you can't nail it down completely, but what is the average young couple looking for price-wise for a house? Can you give me like a ballpark figure, what they're basically looking at, what they can get financed?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's two kinds. This is what we get. You know, people again think they can come into Maine and purchase property or homes cheap, and that's not the case. I've got people that I work with that have a maximum budget of $120,000. I tell them that you may not be living in it. You know, that means a lot of these communities where you want to be. The sweet spot for people is right around 160. Okay, and it's pretty much like in Bangor. I'll give you an example. Bangor. You know, we had homes that were ranging in the, 150s to 200. They wouldn't be on the market very long. You know, a smaller town, it might be a little bit lower price. But then again, you gotta remember that what are people looking for? So they might not choose Pittsfield just because they want a home that's $350,000 and have certain amenities to it, and Pittsfield just doesn't have it. And Bangor's like that too, you know? A lot of people want to live right in Bangor, they live on the outskirts, Herman, that's why you see in Herman, there's so much development going on, you know, with new construction.
Any other questions, counselors? Well, thank you, Gary. We appreciate your insight, and it's always interesting to hear what's going on in the world of real estate. And we all look forward to seeing the finished BlackFi video, and maybe we can have an unveiling at the next council meeting when we get our big TV working.
I wanted to just talk about the town theater for a moment.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so, I'm looking away from you, you guys can see me, but I've got a live feed here that, will talk about the theater here. In the last 30 days, it's reached, a little over 1,000 people, okay? It was seen 2,863 times, this month alone. When we first started out, this theater took a tremendous amount of views, took over 8,600 views. Okay, and then it slowly worked down, which is very common in all kinds of real estate. The 5,000 to the next month it went to 39. February it was at 31, and then in March right now is at 37. There's been tire kickers talking, looking at it, but I spoke to the listing agent today, and really not many people are, they're looking, but they're not buying, for whatever reason that is. They've talked about possibly lowering the price a little bit. They talked about talking to Puritan, if they have any interest in it. So they're trying different avenues, but it is getting publicized out there. You guys may not see it as much. Commercial real estate's kind of a hidden thing sometimes. You know, it's not like Zillow and all that. Some of this stuff is put on what they call LoopNet and CoStar, where commercial agents pay for the service, and it's these commercial listings. So I'm on, I don't know what I'm on. CoStar I'm on right now, and I got a live feed going so I can see exactly what's happening. So over the life of this thing, it looks like it's taken 30,500 views and had 8,800 unique prospects. What's that mean? I don't know. But probably they've gone further in looking at the property virtually. So, I mean, it takes a little while to see a new piece of property. We all do that going into it. It does need to be updated. But I'm confident that this agent can probably sell it. I'm confident of that. I know him, I know the girl behind him, and, you know, they've got a lot of connections.
Well, good to hear.
What is that?
Any questions about the theater? No? Thank you for the update on the theater, Gary.
You're welcome, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Yes,
Gary.
Thank you. All right, next is projects and grants. So
Yes.
this would be your info, Catherine.
Yes, very good, thank you, I'll be brief. First item is Route 100, this is Route 110, which is our main street. Highway construction rehabilitation. We received an update on the schedule and requirements from the state of Maine. This is very recent, and Randall Barrows, our project manager, indicates that they will need the preliminary design from our engineers, Haley Ward, around May 1st, 2021. And definitely, that is supposed to come to us, and it's running about a week behind. We should have that so the councils can look it over, and then it will be sent to Maine DOT. Randall indicates that the Maine DOT is approximately 1 month behind the schedule that he provided in February They are aiming to have the virtual public meeting ready to be available online mid-May instead of mid-April. He is to receive the final draft of all the plans this Friday, because as you remember, Maine DOT to move this project along as it had got installed, and they were very far behind, hired a construction company to plan out the project and design it, rather than having Maine DOT do it, so they could move it forward here. So they provided some information regarding the bump outs, the traffic lights, the crosswalk relocation, provided some contact people, sent all this information along after we had the informational session. Now I have all the names of the individuals to talk to. He had provided the information to the Maine DOT representatives. I haven't heard from anyone yet, but I have all of their names as of now. And so I'll be contacting all of them so we can talk to them about the stoplight location, whether we can get the stoplights updated. Do we have to have stoplights? The crosswalks and their locations, of course, in accordance with the state law. I asked a number of questions on how we would address these items and if we wanted changes, how we would do that, as well as the bump out. So I've got all that contact information. I'm going to give that to our engineer, and I'm going to contact all of the individuals at MDOT to see if we can get this all going here.
Catherine, is that final design, does that have, like, is it the placement of park benches, and is it that final, it's just the design of the actual?
It's just the sidewalk and how it will fit in with the road. So the sidewalk is ours. It needs to fit in with the road project. And in the area from the railroad tracks down to the back of the industrial park, the town sidewalk, which is on the west side by MCI, side by the businesses, is on the DOT's plans. So now it's whether it will be put onto the DOT's plans here too. We'll have our own separate plans, but that's something that we'll have to decide on in the next few months if we're going to roll our project into the DOT project and just have them bid the whole thing. The positives are that you will not have two contractors. You won't have difference of opinions if something goes wrong. It's under the jurisdiction of one person. Everything will be seamless. The disadvantages is that items that are rolled into state projects usually cost more money. And the estimates that we utilized to get the grant money were 5 years old now. We'll be 5 years old by the time this project is built. So we're looking around for other money. It's likely that the cost of construction will be higher than the monies that we have. So we are looking around for other money. So that's a negative. Sometimes if you go out on your own, you can save money. There'll be struggles. There's positives and negatives, so we'll have to figure that all out. They did send me some contracts which I sent on to the town attorney to see how they fit under the town charter and steps that we would have to go through, because it's a little bit different than what we've done before. I have had projects in other towns in which our project would fall under the DOT. Generally, we would get a grant, and the DOT would show up and say, hey, give us your money and we'll manage your project for you, because they needed money to supplement their project. And so in the end, this would all work out. We would get input and everything. I think it's a little bit stricter now, and towns don't get a lot of grant money anymore. Back at that time, 20 years ago, there was tons of money around for road projects. Now there's very little. So we had fit under a loophole to get in, utilizing the Chimbrow jobs that were created so that we could build a sidewalk with the grant money. So that moves us into the second item, in which we did submit the package of information some time ago to the Community Development Block Grant Program. And I know from experience in trying to get amendments before, they work to the deadline. So it's unlikely we're going to get an amendment until we get to June, which is of course a little bit worrisome. It'd be nice to get our amendment now so we wouldn't be concerned about it. But this may be what happens. So we had 7 grants, I believe. All of those got extended. The one that we're waiting for is $250,000 from the Community Development Block Grant Program. And if we roll our project into the DOT project, that may help the Department of Economic and Community Development. In case the monies have to be expended, they could be put into escrow, so that might be something that will be a requirement of the federal government to the state of Maine. So hopefully we'll know more shortly here. So as soon as I get some information, like the little plans, I'll send them out to you, and I'll get everybody going here so we can get some details nailed down on the bump outs, the traffic lights, the very old traffic light that we have, the antique as I call them, and some of the other items of the crosswalks and things. I think the crosswalks will be the easier part.
Catherine, it's likely that that cost that we got from the original quote's gonna go up whether or not we use Maine DOT, correct?
Pardon? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's likely that the cost, the estimated amount that we received before will go up regardless of whether we use Maine DOT. So we're going to have other funds available anyway. What about that leftover money, instead of doing another road, though we need to, we use that knowing that we have this project coming up?
Well, that's an option that we can talk about, definitely.
Just an idea so that
Yeah,
we don't
it's
have to
an
try to
idea.
borrow more again.
I did, we'll get down in the town manager's report about the different projects and everything that are going on. If I could concentrate on the Northern Regional Border Commission grants, that's where we're hoping to get some funding, but it's just been the busiest I've ever seen it here. It's like everything just exploded. So we're running around helping people all day, working on all kinds of issues and not concentrating on big projects. So we're going to have to get ourselves segregated here so that we can look for lots of grant money. But yes, we could use that, definitely. And some other monies we can look around too.
And this isn't gonna happen until 2022, so we have another year of budgeting that we could.
Yeah, that's true too, which may help.
Funds as well.
Yeah, that may help because we should have a higher valuation and more tax dollars next year. But a good point, thank you. Yeah, and going on to number C, Business Project Review referred to PEAK, Pittsburgh Economic Expansion Corporation. So this is a little bit different than the most items that we talk about. The Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation, which is comprised of Tim Nichols, the president, Michael Gray, vice president, Gary Jordan, director, Robert Stackhouse, director, Deborah Billings, director, and Catherine Smith, treasurer. I'm on there simply because the monies are with the town. Only reason. So we had a request from a property owner to opt into adult use marijuana cultivation. And so this was an item that the town council had referred to the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation for a recommendation in the study. So that was discussed last October. We then had an extensive discussion last week with extensive handouts that were provided on the law, regulations in other towns, Maine Municipal Association information, how you would opt in, revenue, yes or no. So there was a lot that was involved. So after a lengthy discussion in which all members present shared their opinions, the board of directors, by a consensus of 5-0, recommend to the town council that the town of Pittsfield not opt in for adult marijuana cultivation as requested, or opt in for the other categories, which are products manufacturing, testing, or retail sales. Director Deborah Billings was absent. The reasons noted were many, with the most important being the following. 1. The town zoning ordinance currently works well with the uses that are listed. Many uses are listed. Adult marijuana has not been added to the ordinance as an amendment or added as a standalone ordinance. Number 2. Medical marijuana is designated for 2 zones in the community, and caretakers grow marijuana for their clients in accordance with the state law throughout the community. There have been absolutely no issues, nor has there been any other request for adult use facilities. Number 3, with how the community is established and functions, the sale of adult use marijuana in various locations around the community does not seem to fit in with the character of the community. Number 4, adult use marijuana is readily available in many surrounding communities where people can easily travel to obtain the resources that they need. 5, There did not seem to be enough revenue available to balance out the time and effort that would be spent addressing the creation of ordinances and the permitting requirements. Number 6, a concern was expressed that once facilities were here in the community, that there would be additional requests for retail marijuana facilities, which the group was not interested in. And number 7, the number of employee positions noted to be added by the business was good, but not extensive. And currently, we are very fortunate to have plentiful opportunities for people to work at the Puritan facilities as well as other locations in the community. Therefore, the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation Board of Directors, after reviewing this request back in October 2020 and again in March 2021, recommend that the Town Council not opt in to allow adult use marijuana. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Any other, you have listed the many other grant opportunities and project lists. Did you have anything for those?
I'll just note that in those areas, we are looking for all grant opportunities because of how busy we are. We would have liked to have worked on the composting opportunity, that there was 3 weeks available to put together a whole application, but with the transfer station being so busy and all the items going on and all the items I'm working on, we just did not get to it. So there will be more funding that comes down. So I think things will slow down in 3 or 4 months and get to be a bit more normal, and we'll be able to focus on the grant opportunities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to public hearings and old business. First item is ordinance 21-02.
Ordinance 21-02 sets a public hearing on April 20th, 2021, that the Town Council hereby ordains that Awana land at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport be leased to Curtis Air Inc., being a 120-foot by 150-foot parcel designated on Exhibit A, the official Pittsfield Municipal Airport lease map, as Lot M, and further that the town manager be authorized to execute an airport land lease and rights agreement with Curtis Air Inc., depicting the terms of the lease for a period of 20 years with a renewal option for 2 periods of 10 years each at the beginning rate of 7 cents per square foot.
Okay, so this is listed as an ordinance, but it says it's set to public hearing today. So is that supposed to read public hearing?
Yeah, it is a public hearing.
All right, so this is a public hearing this evening, so we'll be accepting input from counselors as well as members of the general public. If anyone has any questions about this, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have anything they'd like to chime in with? Not seeing anything. Counselors, do you have any questions about this item? Brent, did you have a question or?
No.
7 cents per square foot, what are we looking at for the total lease?
Alright, so the total lease
18,000 square feet.
per year would be the 150 times the 120, so that's 18,000 square feet times 7 cents.
$1,260 a year.
Thanks.
Yeah, $1,260 per year. And that's at the highest amount that we have in the leases. Chimbro's is also at that amount.
Even though it's a possible 20-year lease, it can still be changed, right? Within
Yes,
30
in 30 days notice, yes, all of them have that language, and Caleb is aware of that, yes.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I am here, I'm just having a really hard time hearing what people are saying, so if there's a question for me, if Catherine could just repeat it close, I can hear her fairly well, but.
So right now, they asked for the amount of what the lease was, so I provided that information. They asked if the lease amount can be changed, which of course it can be. And there's some recommendations coming from the airport committee about different items, especially talking about the economic benefits of the airport. And so I did note that all the leases, with the exception of that 140-year lease that is eventually coming up here, can be changed with 30 days notice. I also noted that you have the highest lease amount along with Brooke.
Caleb, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? There wasn't any other additional questions from the council, I believe. So we would then go to a vote if you didn't have anything extra to add.
No, I don't really have anything extra to add. I just wanted to make sure I could help answer any questions that people may have, so.
Okay. Any other last questions, Counselor?
This is, just so that I remember correctly, this is for the designation to build the new hangar, correct? Okay, thank you.
Not the town hangar. This is a lot for Caleb.
It's for Caleb. He's gonna build his own hangar. He had purchased the town's old hangar for a very small amount of money, and has decided not to try to renovate that anymore, but to relocate to another space. So the town's hangar is a separate one that's in
Okay.
another part of the airport.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, so if nobody has any other questions, we will close the public hearing and I'll look for a motion to vote on ordinance 21-02.
Move we adopt ordinance 21-02.
Second?
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Pete. All right, any additional discussion, counselors? Okay, not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of passing ordinance 21-02, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that will pass. Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you, Heather, or thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Caleb.
We move on to reports, council committees, finance, ordinance, and recycling. Finance committee.
Yes, okay, so we met on the 13th, so last week, for a finance committee meeting. We heard a report out from the police department and communications. The chief is over both. And we also heard from the fire department and what their wish lists were. And things that they knew that they needed or were asking for us to consider. Going forward, of course, these things were not things that we were going to be making final decisions on right then. I was just looking for a presentation. I think that we got a lot of really great information from all three departments. And I look forward to hearing from Public Works next month. That meeting is on May 11th at 6:30.
Okay, excellent. Ordinance committee, our next meeting is coming up, I believe it's next week, 6:30, the 27th. And then recycling is still not meeting.
Has not met yet. It's got its first meeting in June. Like I said, this winter, I put some feelers out for membership. This winter, I've been tied it up 6 days a week. Finally, after the Wilmington Center closed the first day of April, and I had to cover 2 weeks of people's vacations. Now that's done as of last Saturday. So I've got a little bit more time that I can do this. I'm going to try to contact MCI this next week and see if there's some students that would be interested in maybe attending. And what I like to do is put it out there, have them attend, see if that's something they want to do. You know, not just automatically look for membership, but let's see, invite them. I'm looking for members. This is what I'd like to do. If you know anybody that's interested, have them come to the meeting in June. I'll get the date, and I've got it on my calendar at home. I got to put all that stuff together, and just put some feelers out there to say, come on in and see what you think. You know, because the younger people, you know, they got all kinds of ideas that I may not think of, and different things of that nature. So I'm going to be more active in trying to get that spread around here in the next couple of weeks.
Just something to keep in mind, MCI's last day is June 11th.
Yeah, so I want to call them, I was going to try to call them either today or Thursday, tomorrow or Thursday, of this week, and just put it out there. I don't know what we'll get, but if you don't ask, you don't know, so.
Catherine, is the, you had mentioned the municipal composting grant that everyone was pressed for time for. Is that something that the recycling committee could take on to do some of the prep work for that, if they had access to that, to look and kind of do some of the behind the scenes work to get something like that ready?
I think that's where there needs to be discussions with the other communities, such as Skowhegan, so that we could set up maybe a relay station so that we could go to their composting facility as like a step one, or some of the other locations. Donnie had given us a variety of names of places that we could go to start up a composting program before we were to consider our own composting program, because of the many issues that can come up with a full composting operation.
Tim, I'm just curious, one thing we had talked about and then winter hit, so it never happened, was being able to provide donations to the reuse center. Like, I still have pieces of furniture that I would really love to donate and get out of my house.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and believe me, I've got some things that I'd like to donate down there as well. What I've got to do is, now that I've got a little bit more time I can do this, I got to get with Donnie and find out, where he is, where he's the official contact person for these sorts of things. Between that and where we're at now, as far as, like they ran into with the, where we're at as far as the COVID-19 and restrictions and, and all that. I've got to get with him, and I know he's extremely busy, but I'm going to try within this next week to try and just touch base with him and see when he thinks it could, if he can make a recommendation when he thinks it could reopen, what we're looking at. I know we talked about, at one time, we went to a meeting, we talked about maybe we might have to of course this was back when it was, when the restrictions were very tight. We might have to disinfect certain things and leave them out for a certain amount of time, and there's a lot to it right now. But though, having said that, I haven't really studied up on how less restrictive it is. You know what I mean? I know it's been lifted somewhat, but I'd like to at least see what we would be looking at as a committee. Maybe we could do some things down there until we can find somebody that would run it. My suspicion is sooner or later we're going to get right back to normal again, but it's going to take a little while. So we might have to be a little picky about what we let in until that happens. We might have to run some restricted hours until that happens. Again, these are sorts of things that we really need to discuss as a committee, and I really need to get his input on it, because like I said, he's the contact person for the state.
Of course.
But I will follow up on that.
It sounds like a lot of that's going to come into motion probably after the June meeting.
Yeah.
We'd have.
And this is one of the reasons why, Mayor, that I'd like to get 3 or 4 people that'd be interested. I'm gonna try tomorrow to contact MCI and see if I can just at least put it out there, and anybody that's interested in the recycling committee, how we work that is, yeah, we have members, but as far as we're concerned, the more the better. Even if you're not an official member on pen and paper, if you want to come to the meeting, you're a member as far as I'm concerned, because this is a volunteer thing. Anybody that wants to come and put ideas out there, we can take them ideas and put it on, because that's the only way we're going to get certain things done. And I'd like to see we need some new people come in and give us some fresh ideas. We had the same members for probably 10 years, and then we've had some deaths, and we've had some other things happen, people moving away, and we're pretty deleted. But I'm going to try to follow up as best I can in the next week or two and see what I can come up with. And I'll touch bases with Donnie. I'll make a trip down and talk to him.
I think the restriction we're still working under is that there are some senior citizens that would like to work there, but they're concerned about the overall health situation. So once that's resolved, I think we'll have another group. We had 6 people, and so I suspect we can have that many more again later on.
And once we open that, Amanda, once we open that wide open, when we can open that wide open, we better have the people there, because I'm telling you, there's people that have been pent up for 2 years, storing stuff everywhere that they can't take it, and when they're gonna wanna bring it there, it's gonna be busy, and you're gonna have people, as soon as it hits the driveway, they're gonna be taking it right back out, which, if there's no restrictions, I really don't have a problem with that, if they can use it, you know?
Well, you could do waivers too to help with that too.
Yeah, so this is all things that need to be nailed down,
Yeah.
and, I've gotta, you know, now that I can do a little bit more, I'm gonna take a little more active role in it, but I'll look into it in the next 2 weeks, and I'll let you guys know what I come up with.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan, Tim. We'll look forward to an update in June.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to, board and committee updates with town councilors and town manager. Catherine?
I'll mention briefly that the airport committee did meet last Friday. I put a report, a very brief report in the town manager's report. They'll be meeting again, and so I expect 1 or 2 more meetings in May to finish up everything, and then a yearly meeting would be very good, because there was a lot of good input just in general on the airport. The Parks and Recreation Committee will be meeting at the end of the month to go over their regular items. And the one item we do need to work on in addition to the spring sports and summer sports is the Pinnacle and how that might transition over to the town at the end of our 1-year lease. Something that MCI wanted us to look at. So that's going to be very important. Other than that, the committees have mostly been by Zoom as informal sessions, and so that's worked out really good. Very good.
All right, so we'll go right from that right into town manager's report. You want to bring us, do a brief update on items?
All right, very good. I did put in your package a report from Donnie. Unless you worked at the transfer station or had actually gone through the whole process, no one would have any idea of all these DEP requirements and all of the restrictions that they're under. So I told Donnie to just write up whatever he thought would be very helpful, which he did. I remember when I came, it was a bit exciting at the transfer station. Donnie had just been hired. DEP showed up and said, we need some changes here. So we had to address that. One of the items that did happen, which Donnie explained in his write-up, was that an inspector came down and located some materials. You would never think anything like this would happen, and Tim will remember this. Hazardous materials were brought in by the school, which the transfer station attendants, unbeknownst to Donnie, because he wasn't the transfer station coordinator at the time, I'm not sure he was even working there, put some items down back in a little building, and then 2 or 3 years later, DEP showed up and said, what's in that building? And, you know, they thought it was all a bunch of junk, and then lo and behold, we were in a lot of trouble at that point. So we had to work our way out of that and do action plans. We had a capital action plan, we had an operations action plan, we had the special waste action plan, we had a recycling action plan. I thought, how many action plans did we have? But we had very interested DEP inspectors, so we did work through all that. Everything worked out really good, but they were nitpicky on making sure, which is probably legitimate, but nitpicky and making sure that all the reports were filed and all the checks were done, and everything was run in accordance with the state law and the larger books that we have. So Donnie did a write-up, and if you'd like to have him come in and meet with you, a time that's coming up would be very good, would be when all of the recycling reports that are due at the end of April, and your solid waste reports are all due, and he files all that with the state. He'll have the statistics and the knowledge on what has gone on last year, beyond just the records that he has, so that more information, because there are some businesses that file records on the recyclables and the items that they recycle and take care of separate from the town, so then we get all the statistical information in. So that might be something that you would like in the future. We've done that before in May or June or July, depending on when the reports come in. So that's always been very helpful. Might be able to do it through the finance committee too. This is basic background information. To go into the town manager's report, I'll be very brief because I did send this out, mentioning these items in case somebody has questions, but also for the audience at home. because it's good information. Number one, the Maine Municipal Association Safety Grant. The town did apply for a safety grant for 2 new lockout tagout stations for the transfer station. That grant would be 2/3 grant for the $805 project, and 1/3 will be paid for by the town. It doesn't sound like much, but a fine, if this is not done correctly or set up right, is a lot more than that. Number 2, inspection set for town buildings to improve the safety and risk management. The town is joining the Workers' Compensation Safety Incentive Program. The town council just approved that. It was interesting that we rushed through to get that all done, and then they extended the deadline till September 1st. So we're well in advance here. So we will still be joining. We thought, and I think it's very important that we know exactly the condition of the town buildings and the program and the policies and everything in terms of safety protocols, making sure that everything that MMA has asked us to fix or to improve has been addressed, or if not, why. And then that housekeeping in the facilities is in good order. So we have inspections that are set for the first departments. And there'll be a few more after this, but there'll be less because there's less of an area to inspect. So these are set for Thursday, April 22nd, and will be the water sewer garage, the water treatment plant, and the sewer treatment plant, and the public works garage and other buildings and sheds at the public works lot. The MMA safety inspection for the public works garage was resubmitted. All of the items on the list that were to be completed by April 15th have been. All the other items were completed, so now it appears that we have 2 items that are due on May 15th that have not been completed. The first one being the emergency lights for the exit routes and doors at the public works garage, which will be expensive. And so the public works foreman is trying to figure out the less costly option here. That was something that was not in the budget, and it is quite expensive. And then the second item, which I think is a much easier item to do, the public works foreman would like to have training in-house. The training actually take place. However, MMA, the current health crisis, has canceled all their trainings. Nothing is scheduled. We've recommended just use the MMA Safety Online training in the interim. Will meet the requirements of MMA, and this will help with state inspections that I'm sure will follow at a certain point, and then everybody will have some experience and background on fall prevention. And then later on, when the health crisis is over with, they can schedule a training in-house, in person. Number 3, municipal building concrete work. We were very excited that one of the contractors that we've been waiting for, who does excellent work, has been available to meet with the town on a number of projects. We have some concrete work that we would like to do up front. 2 projects that were identified in 2019 and 20. And then an overall project for the entire building that we would look at as a capital budgeting item in 3 years, likely 2022 to 2024. And so they do have a slot in their schedule. Normally we bid out everything, but this has been bid out many times over the years, trying to get concrete work in this area, and especially now. So we do have a really good contractor, and it's likely if the price is reasonable, which we hope it will be, we'll just either bring the work in depending on the price or approve it. We do have funding for this, and some work out front would be very good. We've been waiting a while for this. There's also interior work, a long list of items that we want to do. Public Works has started a few projects, and those are not completed. And so if anyone knows of a good handyman, handy woman, somebody that's good with working on buildings, interior, could work on the weekend or the evenings, that would be very good, so we can get these items done. We found that, especially myself, I'm not good at these things at all, but we do what we have to do. Number 4, inspection items. There's been a number of things that the councils have mentioned regarding lights and gate boxes and such, and the sewer treatment plant, making sure that the fencing has the proper cutting and everything. So all those departments have been made aware of these items, and we're working our way through them and have them listed on inspection reports. I was so excited that the exit lamps for I-95 were all on, but I found out tonight that some of the lights are off again, and that's kind of a strange situation. They found that the photo eye socket was broken at the lighting cabinet, and the main breaker of the service out on I-95 was shut off, so that was kind of strange. So Maine DOT is looking into that. Number 5 is preparation of website overhaul and social media campaign. At the suggestion of some of the counselors, especially one, we did look at some PDF programs, and so we did go out, and it wasn't recommended that we buy it, but we did think that, it was a good idea to buy it, so that we can get more capabilities than what we have with our current software package. So we'll be able to do fillable forms, and due to the cost, we are going to have just one user, not everybody in the office, because it is expensive. So the person that is taking over the social media and all the communication aspects beyond ads and everything. But the website and the remodel of the website will be the one that has that information, that program software, and then the rest of us can bring in items that we need to have taken care of, and I'm sure they will be. So this is a proactive purchase to help with the website. I think it will. We also purchased a data inventory program so that we can create documents, update inventories, and not have all these separate inventories. Everything is going in when we work on our inventories we have now and our different forms and everything. It's all being copied and pasted into the data inventory program so that we'll be able to extract information a lot easier. Number 6, the municipal building back entrance beautification project. Our wonderful Litchfield Garden Club is purchasing a large self-watering flower box that will be made of cedar or cypress wood for the back entrance area that's so empty. And I think this will be wonderful with the beautiful flower displays that will brighten up the entrance. So right now we just have our new trash dispenser there, which we like, but this will be very nice with some beautiful flowers. We also have citizens that requested a bike rack for the back entrance, so once you get the flower box in, which will be quite large, we will determine other items that can be placed at the back entrance and how we would pay for them. And then I'm just going to skip through the rest of these very quickly. They are updated and or continuing items. We did some work back at the beginning of April from some leaks that were found when a personnel from another water district managed by Oliver Associates came down to assist the staff. This individual is like an expert on finding leaks. And so while they didn't find any big leaks, which would have been good because it still seems like we use a lot of water, they found small leaks. But small leaks are also very helpful, and any water leaks that we find are good because that helps out the water supply. So they found a few gate boxes that were leaking that didn't look obvious, and there was a leak in the Honeywell 2-inch galvanized line, and another leak down by the State Route 100 area where the first leak was. And there's a swamp area down on State Route 111, Route 100, so that might not be an obvious area where there would be a leak. But they did find another one. So those will all be repaired shortly. Number 8 is our annual consumer confidence report for 2020. We had started distributing those, and I had noted to you that we had an asbestos test that was required. That information was sent out in a sample to the lab. Everything was recorded and set up, and then the lab results did not get where they needed to. So we were asked to put that onto our consumer report. So we started sending out the consumer reports as we sent out the bills so that we would save money. So every time people get a bill, they get their consumer report. So by the time they're due in July, every quarter, each of the books with the customers would receive their report, and then there'd be no extra postage to that. Generally, if you don't have a violation, you can just put an ad in the paper, but because there was a violation, we had to do the separate consumer report copy, which we used to do way back when. I haven't had to do it for a long time. So because there was an error from the lab, The state revoked that and then said, no, you don't have to put the item on there, the violation onto your consumer report, you just put it in the paper. And we said, well, thank you, but we've started the process, so we'll just finish and treat everybody the same so that all customers get the same notice. Some just don't see it in the paper while others get a copy. So we'll just do it the same. We can make a note next year. There's a variety of water and sewer projects that I mentioned there. I've got all the dates for the proposed water rate and everything that you could look over. We also had a Zoom town contractor meeting involving all the associates, myself, and the water sewer plant manager on Friday, April 9th. That was approximately 2 hours. That was wonderful. We went over all of the documents that we were working on. It was so nice that Annalise didn't have to travel all the way here. We were able to get a lot of work done, and in fact, this is so good in comparing notes and everything. We're going to do that each month. This was perfect and worked out really well. There's a whole variety of water and sewer projects listed there that we're working on, so you can go home and look at those. We do have some bid prices for the inspection and cleaning of the water storage facilities, which has to be done in order to do any painting. And this is where you hire the divers to go in, and they dive into the tanks and the standpipe and do their inspection and then clean off the sediment. And also a program with E.J. Prescott that's recommended by all of our associates, in which it's called VAS program, in which E.J. Prescott would manage our inventory. There's lots of pros to that, but there is a con in that we would be carrying more inventory, which would be more money. So that's something that we could not do unless we had a rate increase, and if we didn't, then we probably would not do that. Number 10 is the airport committee meeting, and I listed the different benefits of that meeting and some of the preliminary results that the committee was looking at. They did agree that all of the leases, some of which are at 4 cents, which are the really old ones, should all be brought up to 7 cents if there's a hangar on the lot. If it's just an empty lot, then there would be a different fee. And there's a few people that have their access to get to the airport, so they're thinking that that would be less than 7 cents per square foot because there's no actual building there. So I thought, well, this is good. And then they thought that the parcels being leased should be less in size, so that sort of all came together there. So whatever the town leases would have to be uniform so that everything matches up on the back and the front. And there would have to be enough land that would be available so that, as Caleb pointed out, it's really good when the airplanes have enough room on the lot so they're not out on the taxiway in the way when the other planes are coming. So that's a good point in having the larger lots. But if the land area goes all the way back to the woods, and it might be too long. So we'll work on all of that. The airport committee is also looking at a list of benefits of having the airport, a new exhibit map, which I think will be very helpful for people seeing the location of the different leases that are there with hangars on them. Number 11 is the shredding event. We of course had dreams of emptying out half of the safe. However, it's been quite busy, and so we won't be able to do that for the free shredding event this Saturday, but we'll definitely be there with as much information and items that can be disposed of properly under the state law, and there are quite a few boxes that we can do that with. Planning board meeting, I noted that we did have a very good planning board meeting, and we got through one with different people involved and everything with different functions. As our code enforcement officer attempts to retire. So there were 2 site plan reviews, one the construction of a shooting range and one for a self-storage building. The self-storage building was approved after going through the site plan review documents. The shooting range will go to public hearing at the 2nd Monday in May. We have learned that the notices that go out have to go out a lot sooner because the mail is a bit slower than usual now. So we're going to send those out actually very soon, so they're going to go out way ahead of time and advertise the ad way ahead of time, just so that people will have a lot of notice. And we also had a legal opinion that was accepted by the planning board that indicated that the HEP Energy USA project development that is located in a residential district is an allowable use under essential uses. So a solar project was viewed as an essential use, which means that it's an allowable use in the residential district. This is the first one in an actual residential district. Most of them have been in the C4, which is like a rural commercial district. It's still a rural district, but it's also commercial. Fenler Park boat launch was wonderful news that the permit by rule was received from DEP after all of those different applications that went in. And we also just received the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers self-verification notification form, which was signed off on by our inspector, so that was really good. So the next steps are Bill Cunningham is looking over the project, going to be coming up with some bid specs and meeting with the staff and going through what needs to be done to get out the project, doing some fundraising and everything. And as we know, our code enforcement officer is retiring. To date, we do not have any applications from any certified code officers. There apparently, I know of 15 towns that are looking for CEOs, and I think from what people are saying, there's almost 20 now. So this is just going to be interesting here. So our alternate, Al Tempstra, says that he's doing really well. He has 6 towns now. He just runs around between all the towns and said that he enjoys working here and having a good time, and he's all set, so we're very happy. Steve is trying to cut back his hours and just do the essentials that we need to have done and help us out in the interim. We're going to work a bit more with KB Cog so the planning board meetings can have more support. I'm sure you would prefer that I not do the findings of facts. I can help out, but my time could be better spent here. So we may need a contract with KB Cog if it's going to go beyond just, something else at the meetings. We'll see how many site plans we get. If we start getting, 5 or 6 site plans, then well, we might have to do something else here. So we'll see how that goes. I have given the staff multiple locations where we will place the ads for the code officer beyond all the traditional ones. So this is going to be a bit expensive, but we'll try to get this information all out, going to the colleges, posting through the different associations, the regular MMA job posting, the local daily newspapers does not work, websites. So we will keep on going here. It'll be interesting. Research projects and Freedom of Information Act requests, those continue, and I did want to note that this is very unusual. I think I had one of these before I got one here a couple of years ago now. We have them all the time. But in speaking with the Maine Municipal Association in a training session, they indicated that this is something that's happening everywhere across the state and that there are constantly Freedom of Information Act requests going into the town. So this is just something now we need to get used to. End of the year processes. Hopefully we'll be able to concentrate on this. So it's been so hectic in the office with everything being worked on that could ever happen, it seems. But this week, I said once we get through the council meeting, we're just going to not work on anything else and do the audit checklist, and that's it. Board and committee openings, you have a few tonight, so that's really good. Recycling committee, they have a renewal member, so somebody coming back after a while, so that's really good. Positions available, the part-time rec director position. Hopefully, of the candidates, it looked like there were 2 good ones of the applicants, so this is really good. So hopefully one of those will work out. The committee will advertise this interview in the second interview. Temporary transfer station attendant, in order for the safety, Donnie is safety coordinator to do any of the safety work, we're going to have that position filled, even if it's just a temp, while we wait for the other individual that's out to come back from leave, a mandatory leave, not of the town's choosing. And then a whole variety of items that will be coming up at the upcoming council meetings in May. And then Earth Day, we are still collecting up all kinds of items so that we can activate the section that we have on the town's website. And then once that's all set, I'll send that out on Facebook on different types of activities and things that people can do. For Earth Day, although it's one day, we just call the whole week Earth Day and the whole month Earth Day. Because you can work on these things all the time. Wanted to thank Heather for giving us some good context. There were some good little training items and different activities that came in from one of the state resources, so that was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, on to new business, resolution 21-34.
Resolution 21-34, resolve that the town council excuse the absence of Councilor Colin Moore from the town council regular meetings of February 2nd, 2021, February 16th, 2021, and March 2nd, 2021.
Look for the motion, councilors.
Will we adopt resolution 21-34?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion, councilors?
If I could read something, please. I'd like to ask that the transcript of this letter be included with the minutes for this meeting. And I can email those to make it easier, Catherine, to you. So Mayor Donahue, Deputy Mayor Nichols, and my fellow council members, I'm addressing resolution 21-34 to excuse my absences for the dates of February 2nd, February 16th, and March 2nd of 2021. First, I'd like to address the delay in this being placed on the agenda so late. If the charter states, which I looked up, I had forgotten about this, that 3 consecutive missed meetings must be excused, and the item should be placed on the following agenda, which for this case would have been 3/16/2021, not more than a month later. Before I address the listed dates, I'd like to take a look back into December. The executive order from the governor dated March 11th and then December 11th and December 15th of 2020 remove the medical exemptions from face covering requirements. As someone who has a medical exemption, I was immediately concerned about my ability to participate in anything in the public, let alone the council meetings. On December 15th, we had a town council meeting. I wasn't sure I'd even be allowed to participate, so I called the town manager and asked if I should resign as a town councilor because I could not participate in more virtual meetings. The town manager told me to come to the meeting and expressed that she felt the executive order wouldn't be able to stand long because of ADA requirements. After the meeting, I again, after hearing comments from Donnie Shute and former Councilor Billings, offered to resign and was told by the town manager that it would be better that I miss 6 months of meetings than to resign my seat. I brought up my concerns again before and after our first meeting in January, knowing that we had a special election coming up for the vacant District 2 council seat, and I wanted to avoid another special election and the fees that are associated with this type of event, especially given the state of our economy due to the pandemic. I reiterated my inability to participate in more virtual meetings. I was again told I shouldn't step down, this should blow over, and missing meetings would be better than resigning. At the second meeting in January, I was blindsided before the start of the meeting and told that we were going virtual in February despite the COVID numbers going down. I reiterated that I cannot do more virtual meetings. We were told that this was just to try it out for the February 2nd meeting. I said I would not be able to attend more virtual meetings, so could not attend that meeting. I also brought up again that my face covering is approved to be worn at the State House. I even, after being requested, emailed the documentation from Legislative Council that listed and pictured approved alternative face coverings. This went largely ignored by the mayor and Donnie Shute. I provided it in preparation for the February 16th meeting in hopes that we would meet in person, but was told we were still meeting virtually. I reiterated again that virtual meetings were very difficult given the number of hours I spend in front of a computer. I have severe migraines. As a matter of fact, I am just coming off a 3-day migraine today. If we were not in person today, I would not have been able to attend. The March 2nd meeting, this meeting was canceled earlier in the day due to an internet outage. Then we were told that it was back on because the town hall had internet. I suggested we stayed with the cancellation and rescheduling because people, including myself, were still without internet. I was told that there was a public hearing scheduled that day and it was important, so the meeting would continue as planned. Councilor Lodgedice kept me informed of the progress of the meeting so that I could keep trying to come in to vote, but I remained without internet until after the meeting concluded. At the next town council meeting, after learning that a majority of the council was coming to the town office for meetings, I came to the town office for the meeting. I zoomed in via my phone from the council chambers and did not look at the screen or activate my video except to vote as required by law. I did the same for the first meeting in April. Now that we are back in person, attending meetings is much easier for me. I may miss some meetings due to my duties as a state representative, and I know I will miss the May 18th meeting in order to attend the school budget meeting scheduled that day, since the council has decided not to reschedule our May 18th meeting upon learning of this school budget meeting. I am committed to serving the town in this role and the many other roles I have taken on. I ask you to approve these absences and understand that I may miss others due to legislative work and school budget meetings. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, councilors? Since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of passing resolution 21-34, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will pass. Resolution 21-35.
Before we go on to that, I just need to know, because it was about me and my absences, am I supposed to sign this paper or should I leave that blank for me?
No, you can sign it.
Okay, I didn't want it to consider a conflict.
Your choice. Resolution 21-35, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to execute the MyRec.com recreation management software standard agreement in the amount of $2,595 for July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 for a website for the recreation department.
Council will look for a motion.
Move we adopt resolution 21-35.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have a proposal in front of us?
Catherine, was this already in our budget for the rec department?
Because we have items that have not taken place this year, there is sufficient money to take care of this item. It would need to be built into future budgets and future years if the Recreation Committee wants to keep the program.
So it would become a line item after this
Correct.
year? Okay, thank you.
Is the rec department usually self-funding through the fees associated with participation? Is that how it's used? I mean, I know we employ the rec director as a line item in the budget, and there's certain things that we have in there for supplies and stuff, but the regular costs associated with each, like with the basketball.
Yeah, really the only thing
You know
that's
what I mean?
budgeted is the summer programs and the rec director position, assistant rec director. Basketball, baseball, football, they're all self-funded through fees and fundraising. I believe I said that correct. So,
Yes, you did.
this would come out of, as Catherine mentioned, it would come out of funding saved throughout the year just because of
For this year, I'm just thinking of ongoing
Yeah, so-
costs. If we have an idea of what the general number of registrations throughout the year would be, this could get distributed, whether it's $1 or $2 per registration throughout the year, then that would cover the cost of doing it.
Yeah, we come budget time, right, we work through whether we shift some monies within the standard budget or rely on fees. I like to build it into the known and look where we can fund some of those pieces, be it summer programming or something else out of funds that are raised through.
I just know there's been some discussion of having a full-time rec director and adding that as well as spending almost $2,600 on software as well would be quite a big jump in the actual
Yeah,
budget.
I don't know about a full-time rec director. I heard that actually today too. I don't know, but what the software is going to allow us to do, right, is there were 23 other communities in the state that utilize this, and the efficiency that you gain through going into an online account, right? You create your account, your family, your profiles. You look at the offerings, the automatic communications. You take just the spring sign-ups, right? If I can go in and do my sign-up virtually, process payment virtually, which we'll get to. We had 120 different sign-ups just this spring. If you think about what the girls upstairs go through each sign-up, where they're re-entering that information into a database, processing the payment, printing receipts, just the time saved and efficiency gained upstairs, let alone the satisfaction of the community to be able to go in on their time and not try to meet certain hours. We thought from an efficiency gain standpoint, a few of these things right out of the gate are gonna more than pay for themselves in the grand scheme of things.
Does
But
the service allow them to do waivers and stuff as well? So
They
like for the
can do
pool and,
everything they can do, e-signature, waivers, process payments, mass communications. It's a really robust software. All your Hamden, Herman, Bangor, Berwick, there's a ton of communities.
so like the pool
Yeah.
would not have to process money anymore because it would be done through this service?
It could all go through this. I know the Trio, our accounting software, that it has to do some interfacing, but there are a number of communities we're talking to that also use that same software, and it definitely is doable. Take a little bit of legwork, but that in itself, right, it saves a lot of processing time.
So when you're talking about mass mailings, would that be directly from the town to participants, or would it give coaches the ability to like send alerts to teams saying, we have to move practice tonight, it's gonna be at 6 o'clock, or it's gonna be at that field, or something like that? Does it help with that instead
Both.
of having individual coaches have like little Facebook groups for or like texting things?
Yeah, both. You create a profile, right, and the rec director goes in and assigns this group of kids to this coach and this to this coach, and the coach can send mass communications to their teams, and I have a preference. I want mine to receive through email, you want yours through text message. It can send those. It also can send out mass reminders to everyone that's ever created an account and is still enrolled, saying, hey, spring sports signups were just posted. Here's a reminder, go in and do your signups. And I've been talking with the rec director up to Hamden, who also utilizes it, giving some tips on how to get it off the ground and what they found most beneficial and what they weren't using. She said that her favorite aspect of this whole thing is that eliminating the late signups, the informal, I'm going to mail it or I'm going to send it with this person, right? That people are jumping in right out of the gate, signing up. You know how many players, how many teams, you know what you're going to have for funding. You can order shirts in time and jerseys in time. And the tardiness of it has been, for her, was hugely beneficial. But if any of you get a chance, go on myrec.com. And it's easy, it's simple. You know exactly where all your information is going to be. And over the course of a few years, the communities have loved it. Go on and check it out. It's really impressive for the price, which, relatively speaking, is fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme of things.
In terms of the programs paying for themselves, almost all of the programs do, or they equal out. Some sports programs do better than the others. The football has always had an issue, and so monies will be dedicated from the recreation concessions to take care of the needs of the football program. So that's something we can look at in the future. But most of the programs do pay for themselves. You would have the ability, as things develop, to charge back part of the cost of the software, but it really seems as though the equipment, the supplies, and everything should be charged to the different sports accounts because there are so many in the other activities, and something like software should just be in the regular budget.
sounds to me like any cost we have will be absorbed back through from lack of having people upstairs to process and process and
You may not see it
process.
directly in that budget, but in the grand scheme of overall town, I think a lot of efficiency and community satisfaction, I think, will be gained. Communication is always a challenge, right? So the more streamlined, the more advanced technology-wise we can get in making things easier for folks.
Catherine, it interfaces okay with Trio? Does it have the same issues as far as with the state where payments come in here and there? Where they're
We're still
grouped up
working on
together?
that, that's down from, like 1,600 to 2, so, that's worked out really well. We have an older version of Trio, which a number of towns do have, maybe a third of the towns in the state. So if we advance like Hamden does, which is what it's budgeted for, to go to the next step, the next level of Trio, likely will have less issues.
Okay.
Which is an older version of Trio that at some point will not be sponsored or maintained.
And do you think because you went through the whole issue with the state and kind of figured out systems to work within that this, if like payments come in that same kind of way, that you'd be able to come up with an easy way to figure the payments?
We're just
out?
gonna have to see how it works out. This is an item we're gonna discuss with the auditor. One suggestion from a number of communities that have gone through this is, and not that I wanna have any more checking accounts, I mean, we already have several going here. We used to have one checking account, now we've got like 4, plus the special items and all of the, we have 23 reconciliations of accounts here. But many towns have gone over and set up for their online processing from the state or whatever entity they use. They do not send all of those credit card transfers into the checking account. They send it into a separate checking account. So there's another checking account. So we'll still be working on this. We'll get this resolved for the summer. Yeah, definitely. It's almost resolved now. But we're doing a little bit more checking to see what the time savings would be if we had another checking account reconciliation, but would have it all isolated in one account, if that would be quicker.
And then would we just do like a monthly transfer into the
Yes,
operating?
which we do for several other items, because the checks all go in one, the cash all goes to one, and then gets transferred over, and then this would be another one, so
Okay.
interesting.
Any other questions, counselors? Okay. All those in favor of passing resolution 21-35, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. Thanks, Don. That sounds like a step forward in streamlining things.
Hopefully.
Well, I like
Ready for
that.
your sport.
I think we all would like that part, that there wouldn't be late registrations.
Yes, yes.
All right, next up is resolution 21-36.
Resolution 21-36, resolved that the town council waives the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to accept the proposal of Hopkins Paving of Harmon, Maine, in the amount of blank for a full depth grind and to pave the entire length of SAS Street with 19.0 mm HMA bituminous paving, which is shim, and 12.5 mm HMA mix, which is surface coat, due to the unique nature of the project and the need to coordinate with the adjacent Puritan Plant paving project, and authorize the town manager to execute the town standard services contract.
I'll look for a motion to open discussion, counselors.
Move we adopt resolution 21-37. I'm sorry, 36 and 37. I got them both on the same thing. So we're only doing 36, right?
Correct.
Okay, resolution 21-36.
Second.
Okay. I don't have a number anywhere to put it.
I know I was doing the same thing. I don't know how much this is.
We did get that. Pete Biggu had the information dropped off by Adam, in which the whole entire package, which would be the same work that we would have done as part of our bid specs, would be done by Hopkins Paving, which does a very good job. We've had them do some projects here. There would be a lump sum payment of $50,000.
So then, do we need to say move resolution 21-36 in the amount of $50,000?
Yes.
Okay. That's my movement.
So noted.
Jim
Concur with
seconded.
a second, Tim, we have $50,000 in there. Alright, so this is just, it's a time sensitive thing because Hopkins is coming to pave the rest of the SAS parking lots and surrounding areas, and they wanted to have all the work done at once, which makes sense, and might be less expensive in the long run rather than having a single project.
I think it's likely, this is probably the price that we would get to. I did some calculations. I think the important item is that it's all being done at once, so there won't be all of these joints, and that is very important when you have this much traffic. It's unlikely that we'll be there paving for a while again. So having everything done so you're not hooking onto cold joints is very important, and this is an opportunity to do that. The waiving of the bid policy does allow us in these unique cases to be able to do these items. This was something that Pete Bigu, who worked on this project extensively, felt very strong about. It's a good thing to do.
Okay. And there's a note here about manhole covers and catch basins. Is that work going to be involved in this as well?
No,
Or that's from another project?
it'd be the other project.
Okay.
Catherine, just so that I understand the notes here too, one of the reasons why we have to do the waiving of the bid policy is because if we did a bid, it would be due after the time they need to have the project done by.
Yes, the date, we didn't know at the meeting, or obviously we would have changed around the bid specs, but the date that the federal government has requested that Chevrolet be out of the facility is to have everything done by May 1st. So the bid specs are not due for the request for proposals until May 7th. So there is no possible way. It would have worked out better if we could have got the price, then we would, have more information, but this is still a good price, and I backtracked it. It's probably what we would get for a price.
It's a very competitive price.
Yeah, it is. The town gets lower prices because we're tax exempt in a town, so this is a really good price.
I solicited the original pricing on that.
Mhm.
So that's a good price.
So is there any expected water or sewer work to be done there, or is this all gonna be done so we don't have to go back?
The sewer line runs across country, so it's not by the road.
Okay.
It's one of those, across country lines that we don't like so much.
Any other questions, counselors? All those ready to vote on resolution 21-36 with the amount of $50,000 for Hopkins paving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Resolution 21-37 as a consequence of passing resolution 21-36.
Resolution 21-37, resolved that the town council approve addendum number 1 to the request for proposals for the 2021 road paving program to delete all references to SHS Street.
We'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt resolution 21-37.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Kind of a logical thing that we don't want to bid it out now that we're going to pave it.
Right. Definitely.
All those in favor of resolution 21-37, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? That will pass. Resolution 21-38.
Resolution 21-38, resolved that the town council accept the proposal of blank for the municipal department mowing, part 1 of option 1, in the amount of blank for the year 2021, and authorize the town manager to execute the town's mowing contract for said services.
Counselors, we do have a recommendation from the Public Works Foreman. If you'd like to incorporate that into your motion, that would be great. You can so choose.
So this is for 21-38. That's part 1 of option 1 on our
Yes,
votes?
part 1 of option 1.
So I move we adopt resolution 21-38 for Katahdin Property Systems For the amount, it's so hard to understand this.
Go back up a paragraph.
Yeah.
Back up a paragraph, thank you.
the
Steve's property maintenance, thank you. For the municipal department mowing.
You're in Pittsfield here.
What's the full amount, Catherine? I can't tell with this.
Yes, the full amount is $3,445.
For $3,445.
Second.
Thank you. That was painful.
I know.
Well, this is divided up quite a bit.
So I had part one as 5,785. And
Oh,
part
I'm
two
sorry.
as 3,445.
Yeah, this is totally confusing here.
I know,
All right,
that's what
yeah.
I was saying, I couldn't figure out.
Yeah, it's 5,785.
Okay, then I'll amend that motion to say $5,785.
Second.
Yeah, it doesn't help with my glasses, so.
Can you read that, what was that amount again, so I can make
Yeah,
sure I read it?
5,785.
Okay, thank you.
You should have seen them opening the bids.
All right, counselors, we had a motion, and then the motion was changed. So, I think we need to consider that an amended motion because it had a first and a second.
Wait, I'm gonna withdraw my first motion, Heather, so that we don't have to do that.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you.
do that. I acknowledge your withdrawal of your first motion. And we'll go with your second motion of 5,785 to Steve's property maintenance of Pittsfield. And that was, first, motion by Amanda and seconded by Tim. Discussion, counselors.
So all this mowing in previous years, what was the total amount? How much are we going up by?
All right, so, the municipal department's mowing amount here is less than what we had before. So that works out good on this particular one.
We also did it out in like July last year,
Yes.
in the middle of the summer.
Yes.
I thought we had really high bids, so we had done away with all the bids, and then we just did piecemeal.
You had very high bids a number of years ago for the parks. We had a number of contractors that could not keep up the work to the level it should have been done, so Public Works took it over. However, the pricing worked out. When you bid it out early enough and get it out to enough people, you can see you can get a lot of bids.
Any other questions on this option one resolution? Okay, all those in favor of resolution 21-38, Steve's property maintenance at Pittsfield, contract amount is $5,785 for municipal mowing. Part one, option one, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will pass. We'll go on to resolution 21-39.
Resolution 21-39, resolve that the town council accept the proposal of blank for Pittsfield Municipal Airport mowing part 2 of option 1 in the amount of blank for the year 2021 and authorize the town manager to execute the town's mowing contract for said services.
Move we adopt resolution 21-39 with Steve's property maintenance of Pittsfield for the amount of $3,445. Did I say the right one?
You did.
Yes,
Second.
yes.
Thank you.
We got the right price there.
Second by Tim. Any additional discussion, counselors?
And this is a reasonable price for the airport mowing.
All those in favor of resolution 21-39, Steve's property maintenance of Pittsfield in the amount of $3,445, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. We go on to 21-40.
Resolution 21-40, resolved that the town council accept the proposal of blank for Pittsfield Parks and Municipal Properties Option 2 in the amount of blank for the year 2021 and authorize the town manager to execute the town's mowing contract for said services.
How about the trifecta, Amanda?
Yeah.
Move we adopt resolution 21-40, including Steve's property maintenance of Pittsfield for the amount of $8,840.
Thank you. Any additional discussion, counselors?
They're gonna have a lot of work to do.
All those in favor of resolution 21-40 to Steve's property maintenance of Pittsfield for $8,840, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will pass. Resolution 21-41.
Resolution 21-41, resolved that the town council authorize the transfer and expenditure of $5,100 from pit number 1, cemetery capital improvement, G7127-00 for the Powers Cemetery expansion located off Route 2.
Move we adopt resolution 21-41.
Second.
Was that Jason or Tim?
Jason?
Jason.
Sure.
You're on the board. All right, discussion, counselors. We have a little bit of background information here too, Catherine.
Yes, basically, we have a full capacity cemetery, a cemetery that was originally set up for a family and all of their relatives. There is the need to utilize that cemetery. The town has funding for the project, and so the Public Works Department has estimated the cost to expand the cemetery, and they do a very good job. They've expanded our cemeteries here in town several times, extensively. And so the cost for the rental, the supplies, and all of the out-of-pocket costs would be charged to the cemetery capital improvement account. And there's exactly enough money in the principal account, in the income account, so the principal will have its funds left.
When I see that you listed here that Public Works would be doing it because they have done stuff like this previously, this isn't overextending them, is it? I know they have quite the slate of projects that they need to do.
They do have a lot of projects. They wanted to do this project. They're very good at it. It's something they can do extremely quickly.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that they're gonna rent equipment to do this? What equipment are they renting?
All right, they'll be having gravel, fabric, grass seed, and if they rent any equipment, then it would be charged for this too.
Where is this located on Route 2?
Yeah, Powers Cemetery is located up on Route 2 on the right-hand side of the road, up on a little hill. There's a whole area that was purchased just before I arrived here, 2001. A whole section of land was purchased, and there was unfortunately a disagreement over where the lot lines were and everything, but that did get all worked out.
Where is it in relation to the solar project, Catherine?
It's way past that.
Yeah.
It's headed down toward Sibley Pond.
It's going towards
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
the Amish place now.
You mean the one that has the Higgins,
Yes, the
outfit?
Higgins family is there,
Okay.
yes.
All right, I know.
Exactly. It has several names officially. I use the official name.
Yeah, okay, I knew it's Higgins, not Powers. Thank you.
Any other questions, counselors?
They'll end up, it's not listed, but they're gonna end up renting a compactor, because they did that before.
Not seeing any other discussion. All those in favor of resolution 21-41, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that will pass. 21-42.
Resolution 21-42, resolved that the town council approve a plan of action to address problematic parcels in town with building issues through the dangerous building laws by scheduling public hearings to consider declaring those buildings to be a nuisance or dangerous to be repaired or removed.
Look for a motion, Counselor.
This is a bit different.
We have to have a motion in order to discuss it, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Move we adopt resolution 21-42.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, Counselors.
Catherine, are we even allowed to do that as a town?
Yes. But what we need to be careful, Pete Vickers is exactly correct. I mean, some of these places are atrocious. There are some dangerous buildings here in town. I've gone out and shocked at what people have left there that need to be taken care of. Definitely. The code enforcement officer sent out many letters, met with the people, talked to them, called them. They don't send back the certified letters, or in some cases they fix things up, but then later on they bring back their collectibles. So we've got a variety of things going. If we were to take all of these to court, they would never go anyplace. Right now, you can't even get them into court. Last year, early in the year, you voted to bring in one of the properties, Somerset Avenue property with all of its issues, to have that addressed properly. And that has been waiting to get into the court system. Now, the court system is very backed up because, you know, it has to be safe for everybody to be there, and it's opened up. But ADB appeals are very low on the list of items to be taken care of. So in the meantime, you have all these properties, and when I was out, I found more properties. Only a couple more that were in this situation, others that probably could be saved. But as noted by Gary Jordan, we have an older housing stock, which is pretty evident, but if it's never taken care of or not taken care of properly, these are some of the situations that can happen. We would need to do considerable research. The only sections of the law that I could find that could help us is this dangerous building section of the law. It would be controversial. However, there is nothing else that we can do.
So what exactly is this motion looking to do?
Yeah, so what would happen is we would go through all of the steps that are in the state law, which includes a full title search, which we can do ourselves. We just need time to do it because we do these on the tax lien, so we have to go through and do it properly to make sure we cover and get everybody who has any claims to the property. So we would go through that step. There would be notices that would be delivered to the individuals. You can do it by certified mail, so if they sign it, that's fine. What we found on these 8, of which one I did not send the notice out because it was a tax-acquired property that sold in October. So we would treat that one differently because we have new owners. And that is the Cheltoma Avenue at the intersection with Lancey Street. So I'm not sure how anyone can save that building, but the people thought they could, so we're contacting them in a different way, that they need to go through their plans here and see if they can save that building, and if not, then it should be torn down. So that needs to proceed forward differently. But these other ones have been going on for an extensive period of time. So the options are to send them more letters and they don't sign for the certifieds. We now send them a regular letter, but again, if they know that you can't go to court, or it's so expensive to go to court, and it might not work if you go to court, then we're ignored in some cases. I will say with these 8, one did not go out because it's a tax-acquired property of the 8 that Pete brought to me. One, and the second one, 2 contacted the town and ran right in, met with Steve Seekins, had him come out. There was some excitement in the beginning, but then they agreed to do some work. I'm not sure in one case if the building can be saved or not. Once you get close up to the properties, you got to wonder here about their condition, because I think you do have some dangerous buildings out there. The other ones are more likely to be illegal junkyards, which again is the same thing on taken on the court here. So our thought was that maybe this could get some action going to help out in these situations. We would make a list of all of the issues that were at the properties. You do have some that are dangerous buildings. There's one that's got to be fixed, or something's got to happen. It's dangerous. The child could fall in it. I mean, it's bad. So there's there's a few like that, but some of them are more likely to be illegal junkyards.
Tim?
I understand why this is being put out there. I get it, and you're right. These things have to be addressed. But down where I live, there is a huge difference between most of my house is a classic example. I've got an old, beat-up house. Okay, it's never going to meet this criteria up here because it's an old house. It's in a non-conforming lot. Okay, which means I can't build upon it. Okay, so if you've got people living in non-conforming lots in these houses, in these areas, they have no place to store anything. I run into that constantly at my house, okay? My concern is there's a difference between, and some of these people don't have the money to fix the house. Now, some of them are just plain, they just throw everything out there and it just turns into a wreck, and some of them are hoarders and that sort of thing. But there's a difference between having an old house and having a dangerous piece of property.
Yes. And
Now, just because you don't have places to, like some people have big yards, some people have, just because you've got a little dinky yard and you're stuck in an envelope, does not mean that you can, that should be condemned because somebody that's got a 3-acre lot don't like the looks of it. Okay? There's a difference between a dangerous junkyard and a house that just has a lot of stuff around it because they don't have a lot of room, because you can't build anything in
So
those
you
non-conforming
could
lots.
look at those and see there's some in there that are a problem.
I don't doubt that at all, and I know they are because I've seen them myself. My concern is that it doesn't. To me, there's a huge difference, and I don't want to see people's property come under all kinds of scrutiny just because they're crowded, as opposed to junk. And I know that all depends on your interpretation. And the other thing is, you and I have talked about how I use my own place as an example. When that river gets high, we get flooded basements in our cellar. Okay? So I had a pit pump put in. This is just my own, okay? They changed the state law. A pit pump now, you can't put that in the sewer system. The guy who put it in has been in business for 25 years. He's a licensed plumber by the state. He does business with commercial places and everything else. He tells me, this was last year, you've got to pump that out to the road because you can't pump it into your town sewer system legally. I can't hook it up that way. If I get caught, the state will pull my license. So I said, you mean to tell me I'm willing to pay the sewer fees? You mean to tell me I've got to pump this out of my house and down that road into other neighbors' dooryards and ruin that road because you can't hook it into the sewer system, which I'm willing to pay for? He said, yes, I can't do that by state law. So this is the kind of stuff they run into in these non-conforming lots. Okay? And unfortunately, if they burn flat, there's nothing we can do. We can't even rebuild there. So my biggest concern is representing in that area is I don't want to see, you've got a lot of elderly people down there, you've got a lot of people that have older houses down there. They're not going to look like the houses up on Birchwood Terrace. They can't. They don't have the ability to do it, and they don't have the land use to do it.
So the one non-conforming lot that was identified down there, that they pile all the items into the roadway, and have had the police go down a number of times, that particular one had the individuals come in and agree they would move things.
Every one of those lots, Catherine, as far as I know, are non-conforming lots, except maybe the corner lots.
Right, but we're not talking about non-conforming lots.
What I'm talking about is, you said this is controversial. I just want to make sure that there is a huge difference between a junkyard in a dangerous building versus somebody that's they just got an old house and they just don't have any place to put anything. Because I could see how that line could get blurred if you're not real careful.
So we would analyze these. We initially sent out the letters to see if this would get things going. Two paid attention, the others ignored the town.
And again, I think that Pete's right. There are buildings out there that really need to be dealt with. But you can understand my concern here. Because I've got a lot of neighbors that are like that.
Right, but
And they've had their houses for decades.
but it's not about your neighbors.
No. I just want to put that out there to make sure we don't blur the lines, that's all I'm saying.
But it's not just Pete either.
No, I know, and when you got a building on Somerset Avenue that'll be torn down, I've said that publicly. And you and I have discussed that.
So Catherine, can you talk us through the actual process here? Because I'm not clear exactly what happens here. So the CEO or the office of the CEO contacts somebody whose property is on here, they're sent a letter. Some people came in with an action plan. We'll wait and see if that action plan is carried through or not. I'm assuming this would be very similar to what we do now, is that we send them another letter if they meet the goals that they set forward to get an update or what, we want to work with people. So what is the ultimate step here? The ultimate step is the town absorbs a building of some time, condemns it and takes it down? Is that
So that would
ultimately
be
what we're talking about?
if the town actually felt that they needed to do that. So let's say we went through all the steps. The people don't fix up the items, we give them the list, they walk off or they ignore the town. You have your hearing, you can make an order that the work is to be done by them. If they do not do it, then you can have the town, by that order, if it's not done, take it down or fix it or board it up. Usually it's boarded up in cases. Or you can go to court, which it would wait in the court system for the same order to take place. The thought was that there would be a reaction here and some people would move forward and fix things. But in the midst of going out, there are some actual dangerous buildings out there that should be addressed. The other ones are illegal junkyards and collectibles that people need to straighten out. And by the way they have them on their lot and how they're laying out there, they are in a way a dangerous lot.
Catherine, I think my biggest concern with this, other than I'm worried about the legal implications of the residents of those homes coming at the town. That is a concern I have, and I'd like to know what we have to safeguard ourselves if we go down this path and ensure that we're actually falling under this dangerous property line. But those public hearings should not be scheduled on May 18th. That is when the school budget hearing is, and it should wait until the first meeting in June.
Yeah, and so I did note there that it may take us longer in some cases to get these items resolved. I don't expect that just because we sent out 8 letters or 7 that we're going to have 7 public hearings, because some people are going to fix their things. 2 people have already come forward. It may be a couple don't fit under this, but they don't fit any place. We're not going to be able to go to court to take care of it. They're just going to sit there for years here, or at least another year. And then even when we go to court, we know what happens. Something that Matt Bolster kept bringing up, in 6 months or a year, it's the same thing again, and here we go again after we spent money.
Well, and I don't think, even with the 2 plans that we've gotten already, we should not be scheduling anything for a public hearing on May 18th when we have the public meeting for the school budget. It's unfair to the residents to have to choose between which public hearing they're going to.
All right, so that's entirely up to all of you. I'm not sure we would be ready on May 18th, but I know that people are frustrated by this overall situation. And so I did want to put together an action plan that would show that we were moving forward, which we should, to try to straighten these things out. Does anyone have a solution? No, these are all through the state of Maine. But in the travels, there looks like there are dangerous buildings out there.
I agree,
I'd
but
like to make possibly a proposal like we did with when we decided to take one to court. maybe take the worst one and use that as an example, and then see if we can produce anything from that.
Yeah, and that's.
We could use that as leverage for the others if we could do something with it.
And see, that's a good plan, and we actually did that once before, but it didn't work at that time. We had an individual that got a fine, a huge fine, and had to clean up their property, and this went on for about 8 months to straighten this out. And it was in the newspapers, and people knew about it, and it still didn't do any, didn't create any action on other people's part, unfortunately. So I will note, in terms of concern about some of the properties, some of these properties are vacant. There's nobody in them.
Yeah, I mean, EC Cycle, that's like a commercial building.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
can you treat that differently than a residential house? Like,
Yeah, the only section of the law that I can find is the dangerous building part. Technically, if you read the definition, some of these places don't fit in terms of having proper building supplies, building codes, meeting standards and everything. I'm not saying we're going to declare 7 buildings, to be taken down. We're not going to do that. But this was to get the process going, to look at some type of solution, or, the best that we could do under the state law as it is. Because the other alternative is send the letters and then nothing happens, which I think everybody believes is unacceptable.
So Catherine, in your written plan, you have that we would have the actual resolution today, and then we'd schedule public hearings to the May 18th meeting.
yeah.
I would like that to be amended to state that we would schedule hearings to the June 1st meeting or after.
Yeah, just say schedule public hearings and.
Well, you had written the date in here, and that's where my biggest issue is. I don't think we should be using that date.
And that's not an issue, because at the amount of work that I see from taking the pictures out in the field, and the fact that some of these are vacant properties, I don't think we would be ready for May 18th, frankly. And some of them look like they may have additional lien holders on them, just by, the situations at them.
So we could say this just to schedule public hearings once the documentation is available.
Yeah, as needed, as required. And not all would have a public hearing, because some may turn out to not be a dangerous building. But from looking at the pictures in the file, one would think that they were, and some of them do appear to be.
So the actual resolution for this, we're not gonna deal with it until May 4th?
Well,
And then
we're approving an action plan to move forward. Whether you schedule 1 public hearing or 7 is up to you all. And it will be based upon the information that we have.
So we are today approving you to be able to put a resolution on the May 4th meeting for a plan of action, because that's how this reads. Okay.
We'll have more specifics.
And then
at
to
that time.
schedule public hearings out after.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
This is gonna take a while.
I'm still stuck on the actual process of this. So we go through this process, we send the letters, and then say nothing happens, they ignore us. We go through the process, we have the public hearing, we declare it a dangerous building, and then we board it up and it just sits there.
You can board it up. Some towns, depending on the size of the buildings, I don't see how we'd be able to do this, but some towns have taken the buildings down. At that point, you can either go to court to get your money back, or you can assess a special tax. So it would be a special assessment that would be made part of the tax commitment, or be a special tax commitment. So then there would be a tax bill that would be created. Let's say it costs $4,000 to board everything up, take care of everything, get rid of the electrical wires that are outside, and take care of all the dangerous stuff. Board up all the places where the children can fall in. Let's say it's $4,000. Then a special assessment would go toward the property of $4,000.
So, but the town's not actually acquiring these properties at that point. The person would still own the
Correct.
land, the building, the dangerous part would be removed.
Yes.
Or boarded up, whatever that situation would be. they would still own the land. And if
Correct.
that special assessment tax is put on there, after 3 years or 3
Then you own it.
accumulations, then we go through the tax acquired property
Yes, you know, you
process
see where we're going here.
too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, how this all fits in together and,
You have.
you know, what's the ultimate ending of this? People are either gonna fix it or they're not going to. And it seems like we're still going through all of these steps,
Nothing, 10 grand,
but we're
like,
keeping it
4
out of the courts in some way. But I mean, if this were my property, I would take the town to court and say, no, you can't take my property. So then we still end up in court. So,
The other part of that is you could, you know, you can't just tear a house down anymore. I mean, it can cost you $10,000 to $15,000 to tear a house down, depending on where it is.
well, you said, you know, there's old houses in town.
I got one right
If
across the street from you
If
that I'll
there's
be torn
lead
down.
paint or there's asbestos in the asphalt shingle siding or anything like that, I mean, that's special handling. You can't just knock it over and get rid of it.
All right, so ultimately, the first thing was to see if we could get any people to react, to do some good here. And so we have two working on things here, after ignoring many letters from the code enforcement officer.
I think that's our ultimate goal, is to get people to clean up their stuff.
I've got no problem
Fix things
going
that are
ahead with
wrong.
a plan of action. I just want to make sure that we exhaust every avenue before we get to that point. That's my
If you
biggest
saw the
concern.
folders, you would see that there's been a lot of time spent on this, and there are many frustrated neighbors
Mhm.
and other people,
I know.
rightly so.
Jason, did you have comments?
Not specifically about these, and I don't know if this is the time to bring it up or not, but on the web road, on the right, there's like 3 to 4 campers, like stacked in behind each other, and I was told that they're not hooked up to well or septic or anything, and I don't know if anybody like goes and empties those things, but I was told that it was quite concerning to some of the people around that area
Is it on a?
as to what they're doing and why they're allowed to do what they're doing.
Is it on a corner?
No.
No,
No,
it's
it's
right
not.
it's right before the power lines.
It's right after the power lines.
After the power lines on the
right. They bought, it's like 15 acres in there, they bought it last fall, and they parked a camper.
Three
Like
campers.
3 or 4.
There's several in there.
There are a lot.
My understanding is they sold property out of state and they're in the process of moving here. They just got their power pole put in, they had a driveway culvert put in, and so, I mean, they're working on it, but I understand the concern.
Okay, because they've been parking on other people's property because they couldn't get into their property.
Yeah, they were parking
Leaving
along the
trash on other
road
people's
and-
property.
Yeah.
It's concerning to
Yeah,
this is
neighboring areas.
Wouldn't they have also had to get a permit to come off the road? With a
They would
driveway?
have had to have a driveway permit, I believe, because
Yeah.
I don't think there was a driveway there before.
No.
Okay.
Well, this is on the right, you're talking,
Yeah.
It's on the right. All they did was cut the woods and plow dirt in there and keep driving campers in the back.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Because on the left, they've done it right. They've done it the correct way.
right.
There's 2 of those.
Oh, that's a different.
That's, yeah,
property.
but we're just, yeah, on the right, okay.
Okay.
I was making sure you, yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
I see it.
We can have some.
I thought you might have.
I'll write this down to have it checked out. This is interesting, that's
Oh, it's-
unique. Yeah.
That can go in your little folder here if you want. It's pretty disturbing.
I can tell you, driving around, as I do right now around the state, this is popping up everywhere where people are selling out their properties out of state and they're doing temporary housing. That's what they're calling it, temporary housing, which you don't actually need permits for because they're campers.
Yeah.
You still would need a permit off the road.
Yeah, and Wet Road is a town road, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a driveway, a real driveway, you do need a permit, yes.
So,
All right.
Can we go back to,
Interesting.
I got a couple
Yeah.
questions on
Yeah,
this.
sorry.
One is, it says by the 30th of the month, they had to have a progress plan.
Something has to happen here. some
All
problem.
right, I'm curious what the definition of progress was, you know.
Some action takes place to do some cleaning or buy some boards or bring in the plan and show that, list up your steps. Something has to happen on the property.
'cause on that same note, you know, we said the one in Peltomer and Lancey Street got sold. And they got sold last October. Personally, I haven't seen no progress whatsoever there.
Yeah, that has deteriorated even further. That's
Right.
a separate letter, a different, we'll handle that one differently, but they're gonna have to move or the building's gonna fall down here.
Right, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. There's holes now in the side, more so.
Catherine, when were the letters sent out to the property owners? Do you know offhand?
I didn't, let's see if I brought those with
Says here
me.
they were given until Friday, the 16th, which would have been last Friday.
I think they went out the 8th,
They had 8 days to come in and make an action plan and meet with a CEO officer that's not here all the time, that there's only 2 days a week they can get in there to meet with them and.
Well, first of all, we can call people or other people can meet with them.
Mhm.
So we watch to make sure if anyone came in, because we have a system set up so that one of the code officers can meet with the individuals. Only 2 have made contact.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did make sure that they would not fall between the cracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so-
I'd like to make one more comment.
Yeah.
And I understand Tim's situation over there.
It's tough, it's really
Yeah, and
tough.
that's
But
different.
Yeah, at
from
the
this.
same
Yeah.
time, the flip side of the coin is, those individuals that don't have enough storage space or whatever, can always go rent a storage
Mhm.
space
Mhm.
at different places. If they choose to collect all this, acquire material or whatever, and you don't have room, they go rent it or get rid of it, one or the other. 'Cause it's sad if you ride around town here, and you know, you go away for a while and come back, the town seems to be slowly deteriorating if you look around. And I know a lot of people are in poor situations, but you still can clean your place up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Well,
doesn't cost money.
to me, Brent, there's a big difference between, okay, I got a whole bunch of lawn furniture and it looks crowded and it looks kind of junky because I've got used lawn furniture. It's another thing to have trash and transmission parts and oil leaking all, I mean, but it is a big problem. And the problem with that land down there, Brent, I bought my house in 1980. And it's supposedly, should be able to get 75,000, you couldn't get 30,000 for it because it's in a non-conforming lot, okay? That whole neighborhood is in a non-conforming lot. But what are you gonna get for 75? You can even get a decent house for 75, let alone 35. So I might as well keep it because it's paid for. This is what, and most of the people that are homeowners, not renters, the homeowners have the same exact problem I do, they just don't have it wrong. Because you're stuck in an envelope. But I do know the difference, and there is a difference when we get it both. And there is a couple of dangerous buildings down there that should be torn down, probably right full of mold. And they've been sitting and sitting and sitting. But I agree with you, it does need to be cleaned up. There is some eyesores down there, there's no question about it. But it is, I haven't lived down there since 1980. It is very tough when you don't have any room to make it look decent. I mean, it doesn't have to be dirty, it doesn't have to have junk, but even your normal stuff that you'd have, like, I don't know, picnic tables, lawn furniture for the summer. I mean, even that will crowd it up. So they are in a tough situation now. And if you don't have the money to haul all this stuff out, it's tough. Now, there are some people that no matter what you do, they're going to keep bringing in junk because they're hoarders. And that's...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything in this binder here is, you know, picnic tables and chairs.
No. I just want to make sure that, I just don't want to make sure that I mix it
A lot of it's
up.
just trash and,
Yeah.
I mean,
You know how this goes.
that's
You know,
that's just what it is.
You know how this goes, you wanna tear my place down, but what about Nichols' place over here, what about this one's place over here and that one, they got junk. This is what I don't wanna see happen.
Well,
Right,
nobody
no.
wants to
You understand what I'm
tear
coming from?
property.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I don't think anything that's in this resolution or in that document is what you're speaking to.
No.
But
It's not-
I understand your concern.
You know, it's not just me, it's a lot of people, and they
No,
don't
I-
have the ability to move it.
Right,
A lot of elderly people out there can't even hardly lug stuff.
Well, it's, yeah.
But I agree, something needs to be done.
Yeah, this is the only thing from looking at the state statutes and our ordinances that we've tried everything else, we gotta do something. So this was an attempt to hopefully make it clear that we mean business and that people do need to clean up their property. there are still a couple of properties there that could be cleaned up. They're still older, but that would be fine, but that's gonna happen.
I would say I'll vote for it, but I think we should proceed with caution.
Well, of course, we'll have to figure out which ones fit under which regulations. You may not want to address some, you may want to address them. Some, I think you gotta address.
And I think with anything that is brought back to the council under this dangerous building law, you know, we have the ability to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
And say, it's not like the tax acquired property where we have to by law do X, Y, and Z. We can look at this and say, okay, this person had, like we had that property you were talking about where it was months and months. They had an action plan, they did some of the things, and then, you know, the guy was ill and he didn't, and eventually he got everything cleaned up and the building, he was building past code. So it worked in the end. I don't know what the condition of it is now, but you know, overall, that process worked. It took a long time. It took a lot of time with the CEO in order to do that, but overall it worked, and the council had the option there to kind of like, yes, send them another letter, you know, and we got to the point where it was like, okay, take them to court, and then things happened. So there's always the option that we have, and I don't think that we would do anything irrational under this. I would hope not.
No, and unless you have specifics on the properties that shows that it's dangerous, you can't do anything.
Right.
So we have to go through and list out all the specifics, which if you went and looked at a couple of them, you would be amazed.
Catherine, I think the other thing that we have to be aware of, and we brought this up before when Councilor Bolster was on the council, and when we're addressing, I agree, junkyards are horrible to look at, and the hoarding we know is a mental illness. We have a glaring example just a couple of towns over that has been constantly dealing with illegal junkyards and the buildup of rats. They get it cleaned up and then it happens again, and then they get it cleaned. And how much, I mean, we want to have our town clean and presentable and of course all of those things, but how much money are we going to keep sinking into the same properties over and over again? That's just something that we should be cognizant of.
The other thing too is, I mean, you can take these people to court all you want, and yeah, they'll get fined and all that, but the bottom line is that the judges are not gonna put people in jail because they got a junkyard. They're not gonna do it, and you could spend $10, $15, $20, $30,000 hauling these people in 3, 4, 5 times, and you still got no guarantee they're gonna clean it up. They may not. It depends on, and again, if they're hoarders, you know, you're gonna get, so it's just I don't think the average person understands how much the legalities is. I remember Steve Emery telling me one time, he hauled a guy in, they kept taking him to court for the same thing, and the judge looked at him and said, you bring him in one more time, I'm gonna put you in jail. I mean, I realized that was a long time ago, but, you know, when they can't even put another person in Penobscot County Jail because of COVID-19, they're not gonna put anybody in there for having a junky house.
The answer's not.
That's
do
not the
nothing,
answer.
though, right?
It's gonna have to be compliance, or else you're gonna have to.
If we wanna be able to do anything that Gary said, and market our town and sell our town, we have to do the small things to make it presentable, right? And it's not the things you said, right?
Most of your
Because I've
homeowners,
got 30 lawnmowers on my front lawn, and, you know, it's,
most of your homeowners are going to comply as best they can, and if they can't, they're gonna tell you why they can't. They're gonna say, what, you give me 3 months, and I can get this cleaned up. But some of them, especially the ones that don't own the property and aren't invested in it, yeah, that's the ones you're gonna have difficulty with. That's all I gotta say.
I'd be willing to approve this plan of action as long as we amend it to say scheduling the public hearings as requested in the plan instead of as the May 18th.
That's fine.
I don't think it requires an amendment because we're not gonna just schedule a hearing if we're not ready for something. And
I just want it to be noted on the public record.
Duly noted.
I'll put a note underneath it.
Thank you. Just because it was in writing in our explanation, I just wanted to make sure that that was
Counselors, any more discussion on this item? Are you ready to vote?
So this resolution is gonna be simply to start exploring, doing something about something.
Yeah, basically.
That's basically what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, we're approving utilizing this tool to deal with, problem parcels.
And there'll
Right.
be case-by-case basis.
Correct.
Some not for taking anybody's property.
Yeah, they have to be case by case anyway.
All right, counselors, all those in favor of resolution 2142, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed, that will pass. Resolution 21-43.
Resolution 21-43, resolved that the town council consider additional restrictions on town council meetings given the current COVID-19 upward trend of cases in the city of Maine.
I'll look for a motion. I'll move we open discussion. I'll look for a second.
Second.
Thank you. All right, I contacted Catherine last week and asked to have this item put on the agenda, given the fact that we have seen an uptick since we last voted to go all in person for our council meetings. All of our committees have spoken with Catherine and decided to stay via Zoom. I just wanted to review what the daily caseload has been. It has not been below 134 cases was the lowest it's been since the beginning of the year, and that was February 19th. And it has gone up today. The cases was over 400 on the 17th, and yesterday was 260 with a 7-day average of 470. So it was a small dip, but overall it's on the upward trend. And I think that we need to be flexible in how we approach our meetings, a lot like we were talking about the rec committee earlier. Do they have a backup plan if we go into yellow again instead of being green? And that they were gonna scale back some of their operations. And I think that we need to have a backup plan for that in place, rather than, oh, we have to have a meeting because we don't have it in place to not have a meeting. So I just wanted to open a discussion about that and having some protocols in place for either limiting the number of people that are coming into our meetings in that case, or having an automatic trigger that we go completely virtual if something happens between this meeting and the next scheduled meeting, so that we don't have questions about how we're going to be meeting. Ben?
I have no system, but I would encourage you to look at hospitalization rates and obviously death rates. Neither of those are climbing at all, and this is just for your, where the testing rates, we're testing more than we ever have, as well as if they measured it, I believe the asymptomatic positives would be higher than they've ever been, just because of the additional testing. So just something to keep, while you're looking at the case rates, also look at hospitalization and death rates. Just something to consider.
Not only that, I think that it's important that we look at the percentages. I mean, we're watching, I looked at this data, seeing this on here, and compared to February to now, they are testing over 200,000 more people a day. And the percentage increase is pretty much staying level between 7 and 8% of the people tested are positive, and it's mostly asymptomatic people without hospitalizations. And that's stuff we have to consider. If we weren't testing more people, then that number wouldn't go up the same way, but the percentage is staying the same, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. The percentage of positives from the number of people tested, let me clarify.
I think the vaccinated people will be increased. I mean, it's decreasing every day. I know I got my first shot. I'm due for my second shot soon. But it sounds like you're just kind of looking for a contingency plan type thing.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess one of the things is obviously if Somerset County goes yellow, that's like a guarantee. everybody goes back to Zoom and we go back to what we were doing before, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's what I'm looking
seems
for.
logical,
I'm looking
but
for us to have a way to be able to say, okay, 2 days before a council meeting, something happens, there's a huge uptick in, variance or this or that. You don't know what's coming, and I think that we need to be prepared for that and be looking ahead at what could be coming down the road. We're going into summer. Yes, more people are gonna be outside. There's also more people that are gonna be gathering together, backyard barbecues, interacting. We're talking about having sports teams travel to all these other towns. So you're gonna have a lot more people out and about and interacting with each other. So I think it opens us up to the possibility of having another wave, and that we need to be prepared for that. Tim?
I would be okay if it goes yellow, we go back to Zoom meetings, and if the council is in agreement to that, then we just put that out there as a public, to the public, let them know that if Somerset County goes back into yellow, then we would automatically go back into Zoom until that was lifted. I think that's a reasonable request. I don't think anybody else would. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for other people here, but to me, that would match up with what the governor and what the CDC was recommending, and I think we'd be on good, solid, legal grounds, and I think I think that's not an unreasonable request. If all of a sudden the pandemic comes up and they move our color back to yellow, then obviously it would behoove us to take precautions and go back to the way it was. I'm okay with that. I don't know if anybody else is or not. I know it's a touchy subject, but that way we're doing our due diligence.
Pete, how do you feel about it?
I'll plead the fifth at this point.
I
think
can't
everybody
hear
knows
you.
my feelings.
he pleads the fifth.
Well, you got 24 years on it. You'll be drinking it. I promise you.
I mean, is there another way to really determine, isn't it just kind of the color system, green, yellow, red, and like there wouldn't be an uptick without it going yellow, right?
Right, well, that's what I'm thinking, rather than using
Yeah.
either just a percentage or just the number of cases or just things, the state has devised a way of looking at all of those things, I think, going into these color coding, and I think that would be a very neutral way to look at this situation rather than bringing other issues into it.
Right.
Brent, what do you think?
I'll go along with it. If it goes yellow, we go back to Zoom.
Okay.
That's it.
Amanda?
If it does go back to Zoom, I would not be able to participate in virtual meetings, and that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Especially if I'm not allowed back in the town hall.
Yeah, if I wasn't allowed into the town hall, I wouldn't be participating either.
Okay, so let's clarify something here, and I'm gonna get a little upset here. At no point has anyone not been allowed in the town hall. Period. There have been requirements put in place in order to come into public places, and the town office and the town hall has been following those public protocols. But at no point has anyone been barred from attending a meeting or coming into the town hall.
I do believe I was told I couldn't come to the town hall.
I
It
was
a meeting
also
that I
told
was
that.
that I had missed, so if we really want to go there, we can go there.
I was told the same thing.
I will not Zoom from my house at a town meeting, and I will not use my personal computer for town visits.
And you were provided options for both of those things.
I was
in
not that
multiple
first
ways.
meeting.
Is there still an option? In one of these notes, it said people could go to the library if they requested.
It's always been an option to go to
That's
the
still an option.
library and either have your computer there or use a library computer.
Use a library computer, okay.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing about the library is you have to be able to be there by 5 because that's when they close.
No,
and-
they close at 6.
Well, back in February, I was told I had to be able to be there by 5 because that's when they lock the doors.
And they close at 6, but even then, they're very nice. They would stay over to get people in the library. But either library or here, there's enough computers, so we should be all set.
You're talking about moving forward, right?
Correct, we need to.
What's
move
happened has
on.
happened, you're talking about
Yes.
the future state.
If we would.
Yeah.
We focus on that.
Yeah, all we're discussing tonight is what we're gonna do moving forward if things go south with the pandemic. Cases increase, positivity rates increase, whatever it is, it's all increasing. And how we're going to react to that. And coming up with a plan to be flexible and be able to react quickly instead of having this 2-week gap between meetings to try and figure things out. To come up with some type of rule, like the color coding rule that is applied across the state, that would be a rather neutral way of deciding whether or not we're going to be in person or via Zoom. Counselors are able to come here to the council building to use the Zoom if they need to. We are just in different rooms. So there can be 1, 2, 3, 4 counselors here if necessary, 2 to 3 at the library if necessary, because there's separate rooms in all of these places, and computers and Wi-Fi can be provided in all of those places so that everyone can participate. But the important part there would be to keep everybody separate, so everyone would be in their own separate space.
Speaking for myself, if we go Zoom, I'm gonna be at my house, so I won't ever be here.
That's fine.
Just so you know, I'm not gonna take one of
Just
the
the option
computers.
is-
We can, you can take that plexiglass home with you, put it in front of your computer.
Yeah, I'll do
So you
that.
won't feel unwelcome.
Excuse me, why do they have to be in separate rooms? Say there was this room right here. If I sat here and he sat over there on the computer, what's the difference?
The idea is not to be in a confined space with other people for a long period of time. We have now been in this room for 3.5 hours together.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
I don't know, I guess I look at it as
Yes,
if our
sir.
students can do it, and they're less separated than we are, then why can't we? Catherine, that's the pictures.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think
I think
that if
the
it goes
yellow-
yellow, I think that would be the way to go, because that way you're doing what the CDC and the state recommends anyway.
Well,
It's pretty
so,
simple.
so going forward, if we use the yellow, then we've got the procedure set up so that, there won't be anxiety over it or trying to figure out what to do, and everybody will feel comfortable. There should be enough computers. We could set up 3 here, and then somebody else could be here with their own computer too, or more.
Any other discussion on this item, counselors? Okay. Do we, there is another item in here, Catherine had put some language in here about moving people in and out. We have public hearings coming up. Do we need to address the possibility, as Amanda had said, that we will have multiple people coming in that would either want to participate with the hearing or give testimony, ask questions during a public hearing? We have 6 chairs available for people to attend in person.
Do we know legally how many people can be in this space when we're all masked? Because like, if 2 people are masked, you can be within 3 feet, I think. I think that's the.
It's still 6 feet. I think the 3 feet is the children. I've seen that, but in the.
It's great, school age.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, does anybody know the
Donnie should be
square
able-
footage?
Donnie should be able to tell you the certified capacity of this room based on the square footage.
Right, so it's, 6 chairs can be in here for the public, and that's it. Yeah,
Oh,
and so
there
this
you
is
go.
the.
But I think we're already
Yeah,
set
we're
up.
Okay,
for
this is set up for
of
resting.
what we can
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
And we could probably have maybe 4 people standing in the hallway.
We would separate them like we did at
By
the
6
planning
feet.
board meetings,
Yeah.
yes, in the beginning.
Well, like you
Yes.
did when,
Yeah.
voting or whatever.
Yeah, we moved them through the room.
Yeah.
But that's for, you're talking about like a public hearing?
Like we have-
Kinda wondering if we should have public hearings via Zoom versus in here?
Well, there's always
Is that-
the option, we're gonna continue being on Zoom. It's
Right.
available to everybody to participate by Zoom. So we had, 3 other people on this evening. So anybody can log into the Zoom, they can watch on the town hall streams, but they can't talk to us on town hall streams. but via Zoom, and you don't have to have a smartphone to do it, you can just call in on a landline phone too. And you would just not have the video, you would only have the audio.
You also don't have the ability to raise your hand if you do just.
There's a way to do it, it's like pound star something, if, I don't know how to do it, like if you have a flip phone and you don't have a screen, there's a way to, there's like a code that you put in and that's like the equivalent of raising your hand.
Well, the
I'm
only
not
one
sure
I
what it
knew
looks
about
like
was
on the
how that you
screen.
can unmute yourself if you did it by phone. I didn't know about the.
Yeah, there's a way to do that too.
So what the planning board has done, at our last meeting, we had 19 people, I think at one point we had 20. But generally, we had 19 people that were on the Zoom, and because it was on the town hall streams, you could hear really well. It worked out good. People were all across the country, and people were here in town. So they have an upcoming public hearing that they believe will have a large attendance. So one, they wanted to meet by Zoom, but two, because of the large attendance and the size of this room, they're on Zoom for the public hearing. That should work well. You put 50 people or 100 people on there if you had to. I hope not, but I think we're likely to have 30 people or so.
Drink some coffee, it will be a while.
So they can hear well, they can see well, they'll be able to all talk, people will be comfortable, we'll have to move them around, so that'll be good. What we'll need to do, if you want to be in the room, is that if we have public hearings, we may have to stretch them out or put them on different days or something.
So we do have a public hearing May 18th, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the.
No, our public hearing got moved, it's on the 25th.
We have
The
the
water
water.
rate
All right, because we want
hearing's
to
the
stagger
25th,
that. Yeah.
sorry. Our regular council meeting is the 18th, and the school meeting is the 18th.
Right.
So what I was gonna do on the water one, we've got the notice, but I thought on the internet and Facebook, I'll put down, how many chairs we have in the room and invite everybody to Zoom or the room and, and so just explain there may be a waiting period and all of that. I think you'll find most people will not wanna be in person, but some will want to.
Catherine, you can always ask for the people who want to be in person, because I'm all about making sure the public can participate in whatever way they feel most comfortable. We have 10, 6 here, 4 out there. Is that what you said, 4 in the hallway?
I would think this is a 20-foot room, so probably, well, there's 3 of you, and if somebody was at the door, we could probably squeeze one more person in. the
Yeah,
hallway.
when we had the planning board meeting, we put 2 people on there, and we had 2 in the middle, so they were 6 feet apart.
Okay, so we can always request that people reserve their spots in advance of that wanted to. I mean, obviously, you could still have people walk in, and that's plausible, but it would at least give you an idea of how many people would come and participate in person versus the online platform that most people, you're right, will likely use.
Yeah, it's so convenient, and once we solve this again, get that all gone and nobody touches it, we don't leave it off for a few weeks, we'll be able to see everybody.
Okay, in the interest of time, let's vote on this item. And
exactly.
so the items we've discussed is having the council meetings automatically go back to Zoom triggered by a yellow or God forbid a red designation for the county. And that would be the state issuing that designation. And also being able to offer those seats at I would think just public hearings. I don't think that we usually have many more than 2 or 3 people at our regular meetings. If there's something that we know would be controversial, then we would definitely want to make sure that people know that they should reserve a seat ahead of time. Anything else we would want to add into that, councilors?
Just that we would be able to utilize the town chambers or building if you said that we had to go, if the state said yellow.
Right. Well, that would be like our standard Zoom operations, is that if counselors either did not have technology at home or space at home to participate via Zoom, that we would be in separate locations, either here within the building or at the library would be offered, as well as we have, 3 computers that would be available for counselors if needed. Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do moving forward. All those in favor of resolution 21-43 as discussed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
I'm gonna abstain as well, then.
All right, we'll have a roll call. All those in favor, Jason,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Brent,
Aye.
and I'll be an aye. And we have Pete and Amanda abstaining. Okay, resolution 21-44.
Resolution 21-44, resolved that the town council approve the renewal of the alcoholic beverage license for the Broken Putter Restaurant and Lounge at 382 Heartland Avenue, Pittsfield, Maine, 04967.
Move we adopt resolution 21-44.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, counselors? This is a housekeeping item. Opening for the season and they need a new license.
Do we have to review that every year? Is there any way to do it, like, they can have it for 5 years or something?
State law, you.
State laws, everything. Okay, thanks.
Some licensing that town office can just renew, like the lunch wagon.
No, this is definitely one that has to go to the.
Yeah, this one
municipal
does, but some things can be done
Correct,
through the
yes,
office.
lunch wagons, others.
This has to be signed off and then they have to send it into the, BABLO, the Bureau of Alcohol Licensing, something. It has to be part of their annual application to renew their actual license.
Yes, and the master sheet that has to go to the state, in which all your signatures have to be on one form, has to be signed by everyone, or a majority.
And that should be circulating. Has everybody seen the sign-off sheet on that? It's for their licensing.
Is that this one?
Yep, everybody needs to make sure and sign that before they leave.
There's not enough.
No, there isn't enough space. We gotta squeeze one in somewhere
I'll
else.
check that out.
All right, all
You
those in
did
favor of
something.
resolution 21-44, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. Resolution 21-45.
Resolution 21-45, resolved that the town council approve the renewal of the special amusement permit for the Broken Putter Restaurant and Lounge at 382 Heartland Avenue, Pittsfield, Maine, 04967.
Move we adopt resolution 21-45.
Second.
Who was the second?
I will.
Thank you, Pete. Any discussion on this? It's another housekeeping item, kind of goes hand in hand for their operations each year. Not hearing any. All those in favor of resolution 21-45, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Resolution 21-46.
Resolution 21-46, resolved that the town council appoint members to fill the vacancies on the various town boards and committees.
Resolution, motion to open discussion, counselors.
Oh, sorry. Move we adopt resolution 21-46.
Thank you.
Second.
I got busy reading it.
All right, we have some names in front of us. Elizabeth Ross is applying to the Recreation Committee. We have an opening. There's no other interested parties, says the note. We also have Paul, is it Faria?
Yes, fair.
Faria for the Recycling Committee, a renewal of a 3-year term. And Parks and Rec Committee, Devin is renewing to 2022, and Elizabeth Ross is the new person, filling the remainder of a term to 6/30/2021. So in June, we'll have another opening.
Should be back
We'll
shortly.
be back again. Any discussion, counselors? in favor of appointing the people who have stepped forward as discussed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, that will pass. Discussion items?
Thank you for coming.
Good night, Ben.
I have a question. We supposed to be signing this and passing these around?
Yes, you would sign
You
it.
just sign yours and then give them back to Catherine.
Yeah. So those
It's
are
that
all
one
yours.
alcohol license sheet that everybody needs to sign, that one, it has to be an original signature.
This one, but what were these ones?
Those you just sign
Just your
your,
signature.
Just my
your
signature?
spot, and then give it to Catherine.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and to follow up on that, I have several packages for some of you during the period of time you were at home on Zoom. So I will have all of those for you in the future. We're just double checking to make sure we have everybody's signature and everything. And so you'll have a few things to sign in the future. We'll get all caught up on our paperwork. Thank you.
Any other discussion items? Let's go to reports. Colonel Wiley, do you have anything else for us this evening?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. It was nice to see you again tonight. Let's see, Counselors, Amanda, do you want to start tonight?
Sure. I would like to thank everybody who came via Zoom or in person. It's always nice to have an audience, and I'm very glad to see people in person again. And Catherine, I just wanted to check in on where we were with updating the website with new counselor information and the committee names.
All right, all the new counselor information's been on there since shortly after the meeting, and they're working on the committees.
Okay, all right. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
Yes, I wanted to thank the Colonel for coming in, and good luck on the Memorial Parade. I'm sure it'll be fine. People will be glad to get out and see that. I want to thank Ben for coming in, and I'm glad that baseball is starting to move. And I want to thank Gary Jordan for taking time out to give us an update on the current situation regarding real estate and what we have in Pittsfield. And as you can see, that right now, there's definitely a shortage of housing. And right now, we got people moving in, West Puritan, and everything is booming right now. And I know my son just bought a house over in Bruin. They're around 200,000 is 200 to 210. After that, it starts getting a little tougher for people to get financing. So that's about 160 to 200 is about the average of what most young people with children are looking at. But I do believe that we do need to look at, subdivision and what can we do in the future. I don't want to be a wet blanket, but I will tell you, if anybody, fixing the old houses up, if anybody's looked at it, I've got an old house, and unfortunately I own it, so I'm not going to get anything for it, like I told you. If you look at the price of building material, it's right completely out of reason now. So sometimes even fixing up old ones isn't as good an option. Now, I don't want to be a wet blanket here, but in 3 to 4 years' time, and I hope I am dead wrong, and Catherine and I have talked about this in the past, but arithmetic tells me you've got a train coming, and it's called inflation, because the federal government keeps printing money out of thin air. Eventually, prices are going to start rising, interest rates are going to rise, and it's going to get tougher to borrow money for construction projects, for individuals. Now granted, we're still a ways away from that, but the time to handle it, look at the subdivision would be now, because I'm thinking 3 to 4 to 5 years from now, we're going to start having a problem here. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope my old math teachers were completely wrong, and we wind up in a very good place. But I think it would be the time to look at it and see what we can do before the inflation catches up with what the government's doing about printing money and all that, because it just stands to reason. It's going to get more costly to do business down the road. So now's the time to look at it the next year or so. And hopefully that'll go forward. I won't be on this council at that time, but I wish everybody luck. Hopefully that'll go through. And behind the hospital was one of the places it was looked at, and that would be attractive. And I hope that the valet does find a place, and I hope that, you know, we can figure out a way that we can draw people in, because we do have more people in town now, and I think that would be a worthwhile project down the road. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Jason?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions right quick. The inspections on the buildings, will you provide us those inspections or the results of those inspections?
All right, so we'd be talking about the ones we're gonna do internally that, the safety coordinator is gonna do on Thursday, or the?
Right.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. Also, who's the person that's doing, some of this website stuff?
That will be the new Kathy.
Okay, all right. And then what was the program that you purchased for the data entry? I mean, the data inventory program. Do you know what the name of that was?
File saver, it has a.
I can get it later.
I have the name upstairs.
Okay, that's fine. Then the other thing was, wanted to thank Chief Bickmore and all the first responders yesterday out at Route 2. They responded to a car accident, and they're very prompt and thorough and much appreciated. Also wanted to wish Jeff Bananastein well wishes, because he was injured last week, I believe. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Pete, do you have anything this evening?
I would just like to thank Colonel Wiley for continuing to organize some kind of a thing for Memorial Day. That's much appreciated.
Happy to do it.
That's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Ben?
No, I haven't done very well.
Okay, I have a couple things. Catherine, I got an email from a citizen asking about, the extra, I'm not sure what to call it, it's the crossing pedestrian flashing light, the extra set that we have.
Okay.
And whether or not if you go up at Somerset and Hawthorne, Park, that intersection there, so that, people aren't really paying attention and kids are having a hard time crossing at the end of the school day, beginning maybe 2. She said that it's been really busy, that, you know, she runs out of her house, and Jane runs out of her house and helps people cross the street.
I knew it was Jane.
Yeah. I didn't know if I know we only have one crossing guard up at School Street usually. Could we work with the school and maybe buy one of those like bright green crossing little things you stick in the middle of the street, and have them like put it at that intersection and then go help cross up at the other one and then go pick that up again? Is that a possibility until we can figure out what to do with that blinking light, just so there's something there?
All right, what we should do is I'll talk with Public Works again, because we have, one of those sets of lights. Now, I think the issue is gonna be the way that the intersection is set up and the ability to meet the federal requirements, because I myself have, suggested several locations and none of them seem to work here. I'd like to put it up.
Is that the curb cuts and the clearances and
Yeah.
stuff?
So let me check and see where we can put it up and mention these different locations.
Okay, yeah. And while we're talking about crossing, I know our crosswalks usually get painted in like September or October. Last year, Amanda and I were talking about the Main Street, and it was like, I think it was in October they finally painted it, and then, you know, it snowed and it all got plowed off. So if we could start now asking the state to paint those sidewalks or crosswalks again. I know we do some of them, but they're not very visible at all.
Yeah, it's both Public Works and MDOT are all running behind on this, and
Yeah.
the earlier it's done, the better, because you get, one, it's safer, but 2, you get more of your money's worth for the expensive paint.
Yeah, and a lot of people are out walking now, and it's just, the kids are still in school and going home and everything. It just makes sense to do it first thing in the spring when they can.
Yeah, I remember we used to do them, like the mid-April. It was a big joke that we would get them done, right around when income tax is due. And then, of course, things have moved back.
I just wanted to mention too that the Maine Cheese Guild is planning the Maine Cheese Festival here in Pittsfield on September 12th, and we are putting out sponsorship opportunity information if any businesses or entities in the area would like to participate in sponsorship opportunities for that event. That would be great, and they can contact me either through my town councilor email or my business email. Either would work. I had a question about the window above the back entrance out here where it got paved, right above the trash can. There's a window on the second floor. It has an air conditioner in there and then like plywood around it and stuff. The rest of the window's got a coat of paint, but that one didn't. And it's all peeling off, and the air conditioner's like dripping on the wood, and it's all rotting away. Is that Public Works to do that, or is that the police budget because it's in the police station section? Who has to do that?
It's in the police station section, but I would think that we don't want police officers out there. We want Public Works to go up on the ladder and fix that.
Right. It needs to be scraped and painted and whatnot.
Now, they are behind, so all of my lists of work are not completed, so I'm looking for a handy person. But they also have more employees now too. So I will speak with them about that as well as the other list of items. We have a number of projects that are partially done in here.
Okay. I was standing there talking with somebody and facing it, and I'm like, all I could see was the window, and I'm like, I gotta ask about that. So, and then one thing I noticed when we were looking through the paperwork tonight, and it's just an offhand thing, when we're doing contracts for bids, can we have like print your name here along with the contractor's signature, because you can't even tell who's signing these contracts?
That whole set of contracts needs to be totally revamped. It's very confusing, as you found tonight, and totally confused everyone who was opening the bids. It just seemed to get expanded into all these separate options, and yes, if you have it set up right, you'll know who it's for. And it's the same thing with the paving one. They need to be revamped a little bit to make it easier.
Right. I mean, just so we know who actually signed the paperwork.
Yeah, it's on a list once we get more caught up that these things would be taken care of.
Okay. And then status. I was not able to watch the last planning board meeting. Did they finish their second training that they were going to do with MMA and Joel about the subdivision?
They did, and Joel announced at the last meeting he had looked through the subdivision ordinance and felt they had a good one, and so that was the end of that. So we still need to look at the subdivision ordinance. I think Peak should take on the development of the properties and look at that aspect, and have the planning board look at the subdivision ordinance to see if they want to put any items in there that still protect the town, but would make it more user-friendly, so we'd be more apt to get a developer here
I'm
for
just thinking
new
about
houses.
Tim's point with like, so we're gonna have, if we drag this out, then getting something else in place, by the time we have something in place, we're gonna miss that
Right.
peak opportunity for development, and then it doesn't really help to do
That's
that.
what's going
So
on, or starting.
I feel like we're already like a year behind where well, really we are, because this was supposed to be done last year, but
Yeah.
we're
There's
behind.
there's no other information that I can think of that I can give the planning board. They've got their information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is all I had. Everybody else said thank you about
Oh,
everything else.
can't look at the clock.
Yeah, you
since
can't
I
look at the
broke
clock. You don't want to look at the clock.
No, I broke it on my head there.
All right, and we'll look for a motion, counselors.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Just think, I just missed the family view an hour.
Just release your camera.
Yes, thank you.
I wanted to tell you that, you know,
And thank you for your report on doing something
like I
with
said,
it.
work on what,
Trying to get the property done somewhat.
Yeah.
Believe me, so-
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's, a lot
to it.
There is a lot to
You
it.
got a lot of firearms, like you said, a lot of it's just
If I go to somebody, something I can do.
That's why I thought that it was that way.
They can just go out and pick up some of their stuff.
Oh, I
And
know.
now,
They always
you
say,
gotta
"You
knock
know,
off half of those.
same darn day of the month, so I go back and forth.
Well, like I said,
Like,
the
can I just come in tomorrow, or Thursday, I guess?
We'll fill everything.
I'll do that,
But
yeah.
I mean, you know, I gotta.
Too late for me, I need ice cream in my couch.
What?
Probably they don't have a prayer of taking the electrical in the state.
I had a question there.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
I had heard a little bit of talk about on the energy committee, trying to do private co-op things. I find it very unlikely that it would replace the current system. It would be in addition to the That's my understanding, is that it's exploratory. Now, I could be wrong.
I think it's.
Because I
think
only
it's a
got a quick
typo.
report out at last
I think it's a typo, but it
caucus
should be
on
changed.
that particular issue.
I think it should be changed.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is a typo.
So I'm not 100% positive.
Yeah.
on that.
It's like, yeah.
I know, we mine it over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
The building down on the ground.
Yeah, it's
And then I'll
better
send
than
you
what
the-
we have to get that.
You
No, Jason.
wasn't perfectly clear. No matter what you do down there.
The chief bunker.
Right, just get.
I know where to go in case of an issue.
You know what's great?
Yeah, put the stuff
You know,
on.
you're out of eating
You know what's Hold your area, man.
I only see that.
Believe me, that thing is precious.
Oh, Jesus. This one will be there in a heartbeat.
And the thing is,
All right.
is that motion.
Have a good one.
75,000. I couldn't get 34 if I put it on the market right now.
Now, did you look at that house that has windows open on the walls? I mean, it looks like the whole thing's gonna fall over. There's a place like this where children,
Here's
there are
all of the
children running around the
information.
road.
Here's where
They
you
could
can look at the
slide right down
testimony
into
and
that.
And which one, which house you talking
It's
about?
on Washington Street.
Oh, I know,
I
that
still
thing ought to
can't
be
even,
torn
I
down.
still can't even believe
That ought
it.
to be torn down.
I mean, when you're
I know,
participating in something live,
I hear you.
seeing what's actually
Alrighty.
happening, and then
You
to
take care.
report after the fact, it's like, wow, did they totally twist that? Because that's not how it happened. Cut out these important sections of the meeting or whatever. Right. Have a good night.
Good night.
Right. It's been